One Piece: The Legend of Creation, Chapter 661 to 680. 660, 661 Ultimate Form. It's not you who should say thank you, it's me. If it wasn't for your help, I might not know how long it would take me to break the limit of death and emptiness. Chuckle. Break the limit of coup and death. You said you have broken it now. Ha ha, stop laughing. Aizen laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in history. It's funny. You are really an idiot when you say you are an idiot, and only a big idiot like you can rely on a tool like Benyu that doesn't belong to you. Anyway, you will leave this world completely today, and I'm not afraid to tell you. Miss Ben's husband, Lu Chengkong, and his other wives, have broken the limits of the God of Death and the God of Death, and they have broken it for many years. What an idiot can see, otherwise, why can Sister Nilu pierce your heart with just one finger? Not only did Ju Nanbai not get angry at Aizen's ridicule, but instead said softly. What did you say? Lan Ran's face suddenly became very ugly. She glanced at Lu Chengkong, who was lying on the beach chair with her eyes closed, hugging Nelly Lu and Saifeng Yuanyei, and recalled what happened just now. He found out that Lu Chengkong and the others had always looked at him with a straight face. Not only that, but even Hirako Mako, Kumu Shanghai, and Zhengmu Janpachi. I only like to say it once. If you don't understand clearly, use your own body to understand it. See clearly, this is the real strength of breaking through the limits of the void and the God of Death and reaching the initial level of Scredo. Not you. The deformed product catalyzed by this collapsing jade is comparable to the ultimate form and transformation. Quote. After fighting for so long, Ju Nanbai may be tired of it, or it may be because he has achieved his goal and doesn't want to fight anymore. He wants to get rid of this hatred as soon as possible, and Ju Nanbai also found that Ichimaru Yin and Hirako Mako were impatient. If Aizen was killed, they might not be able to resist. The fifth form change. Is it weakening the ability of a certain place to improve another place? Aizen said slightly sarcastically, but she didn't know why she looked at Kunin surrounded by a dangerous black Reiatsu. Bai has a bad feeling in his heart. His intuition told him that Ju Nanbai's last form change, called Ultimate, was definitely very different from the previous four. After advancing to the first level of Scredo, the insignificant features of Ju Nanbai's wrists and feet and the rune marks on his forehead have completely disappeared. It can be said that in the future, apart from the weapons in the hands of Ju Nanbai, the weapons in her hands will change according to Ju Nanbai's needs, and maybe only the color of the eyeballs in her eyes will change into various colors with the change of the 5 forms. Almighty Form's eyes will turn red, Pegasus Form's eyes will turn green, Titan Form's eyes will turn purple, Model Seryu's eyes will turn blue, and finally the strongest and most mysterious ultimate form is not only the eyes, but also the whole. Both eyes will become pitch black as ink without a trace of whiteness, and they look like black gems. At first glance, it seems that the whole person's mind is sucked into it and has infinite suction. Regardless of the state of returning to the blade or not to the blade, Ju Nanbai will no longer have any desired characteristics, even if it is not at all. It is exactly the same as the God of Death. It can be said that the current appearance of Ju Nanbai has completely recovered. There is no difference in the appearance of the former Death God, and some are only differences in strength. Is it for you to verify it yourself? I hope you can fight a little longer. The whole body was covered with black Reiatsu burning like black flames, and his eyes had turned into black gems, full of endless attractiveness. Knowing if it was a hallucination, the voice of Ju Nanbai in his ultimate form made people feel like a boundless sense of danger shrouded him away. Arrogant. Iran snorted coldly, and suddenly a flower appeared in front of her eyes. Ju Nanbai came directly to Iran as if she wanted to flicker. He flew out, and at the same time, Ju Nanbai directly caught up with Aizen and hit him with a series of punches and kicks. There were countless wounds left on Aizen's body, and the speed of making a catch was too fast to repair even the super speed regeneration ability of Collapse Jade. Impossible, my probing nerves can't keep up with her speed. It's amazingly auspicious. Aizen's face changed greatly. Every time he wanted to raise his hand to resist, Ju Nanbai's fist came from the other side. Let him be unable to defend even if he wants to. He now understands a little bit about Ju Nanbai's saying that he hopes you can play a little bit more. Damn, I don't believe it. I don't believe that there is still someone above me who has evolved 4 times with Bengyu. Aizen roared unwillingly, and the 5 empty faces at the tip of the wings immediately stretched out to surround Ju Nanbai, and at the same time tried her best to grab Ju Nanbai's hands all at once so that he could not move. The mouths of the 5 virtual faces and the black eyes of the 6 wings suddenly grew, and many energy balls condensed to form multiple huge rings of energy surrounding Ju Nanbai's body, which immediately exploded in a concentrated manner. You're dead now. Lan Ran's sneer quickly froze. When the smoke cleared, the masked appearance of Ju Nanbai was revealed, unscathed. This situation made Lan Ran unscathed. Dai's complexion changed greatly. It seems that you still don't understand that the ultimate form is different from the previous 4 forms. The ultimate form combines the advantages of the previous 4 forms, and at the same time far surpasses the improved abilities of the other 4 forms. It can be said that this form is my strongest and most perfect form. It can be said that the ultimate form can completely cover the enemy in the danger of death forever until the enemy is completely dead. With a scream, Ran directly tore off his hands, and at the same time, 5 slender jade fingers opened to face Aizen's head and said coldly, "Dark palm waves." Ah! As soon as Ju Nanbai's voice fell, Aizen let out a more shrill scream than before, only to see Aizen's whole body being wrapped in a black flame and burning, no matter what Aizen did. Unleashing Reiatsu or even releasing energy bullets on the body cannot extinguish it. What a strange flame, it's actually a flame burning from Aizen's body. As the master of playing with fire, Old Man Yamamoto, who controls the strongest Zanpakuto in the flame type, is still very authoritative in this regard, even if he is a master of playing with fire. When Ju Nanbai's peculiar black flame attack method changed his complexion, it can be seen that this kind of black flame is not unusual. 661-662 Blast Abuse Blue Dye. Mr. Genryujai, what do you mean by burning from within the body? Shuru Yukitaki was the first to see Old Man Yamamoto's ability to fire with joy and anger. You must know that I have seen countless Zanpakuto or abilities about flames for thousands of years, but the Old Man Yamamoto has not seen it. Now the black flame displayed by Kunanbai can actually change the color of the Old Man Yamamoto. Does this mean that this kind of flame exceeds outside the cognitive scope of Old Man Yamamoto? This kind of black flame is very strange. Normally, even the old man's flaming flames are destroyed from the outside to the inside. After all, with external protection, it cannot burn directly from the inside of the enemy's body. But Ju Nanbai's this kind of black flame obviously started to burn from Aizen's body at the beginning, and then penetrated out of the body. It can be said that this is the flame of the external defense force directly attacking the internal organs of the enemy at noon. The Old Man Yamamoto's face was unprecedentedly solemn, and he said in a very heavy voice. What? Isn't that invincible? How strong the defense is without directly burning the enemy's body? Jingle Chunchui said in surprise, and now he couldn't sit still. Of course it's impossible to be invincible. As long as you exceed the limit that this kind of flame can damage, you can survive, or in other words, if you have the ability to regenerate your face and internal organs at a super speed, as long as the speed of super speed regeneration can't keep up with the speed of flame destruction, you can survive, but for those who did not break the limits of death and void, they can kill them in seconds. Even so, the fear and shock in Old Man Yamamoto's eyes did not subside at all. Yes, Bai's ability is indeed very strange. It is a relatively misunderstood but easy to decipher ability. Hei Yan, who was originally facing Bai with Aizen's strength, was killed in seconds, but Pumpin his host. Protecting that super speed regeneration ability allows Aizen's body to regenerate continuously, but it can only maintain this state. That is to say, Aizen does not die, it will always be in a state of being burned by black flames. It can be said that black flames are caused by blue. The internal organs of the dyed body are used as fuel to burn. In simple terms, the blue dye will not die, and the black flame will not be extinguished. Quote. Saifeng Yuan nodded slightly, but his words made the countless gods of death in the room gasp and numb their scalps. In particular, the representatives of the masked army, such as Hiroko Mako and Ryuchi Kenshi, secretly swore in their hearts that they would never offend this ancestor. Although Hiroko Mako's strength would not be burned to death, he would not die like Hoyan. He didn't want to endure the pain. Hey, Chongkong, they are so stupid. Since this kind of fire is burning from the opponent's body, then as long as you mobilize the spiritual pressure to resist the black flame from within the body, it will be able to extinguish it if it exceeds the limit that the black flame can bear. Ah! With his rich combat experience, he has a very deep understanding of phantoms and all kinds of strange abilities. Nellie L can analyze the pros and cons at a glance, and only Nellie L can never be given a supernatural mind by appearances. Confused. If they are not stupid, how can they set off my baby Nilu's intelligence? Lu Chengkong kissed Nilia's small mouth and said in approval. Only the cute behavior shown by Nellie L at this time is similar to the cute and naughty behavior she did when she changed from a child to a hot super royal sister in the original anime. Usually Nellie L is solemn and beautiful. Brave, beautiful and refined existence. Of course, Nilu is very smart. Nellie L smiled happily, that cute look, the demeanor between the anger and the frown showed Nellie L's multiple charms vividly. Maybe it was only when she faced Lu Chengkong and his wives, Harabelle, that Nellie L showed her so cute and eccentric side. Ah! At this time, Aizen was just like a drug addict who couldn't get drugs and kept rolling on the ground, making a wailing sound that made people unable to help but feel pity, whereas the previous majesty unbelievable look. Bengyu's protection of the host, Aizen's so-called undead body, could only barely allow him to save his life under the burning of black flames. Where there is excess energy to fight, it is good not to be burned to death. Although I can't completely kill you with my current strength, I can make you pay back 100-fold for the pain they suffered. Zhu Nanbai popped out his left and right hands at the same time. His right hand was holding the Qinglong stick, and his left hand was holding the Titan Excalibur while beating Aizen. I was sweating coldly in my heart. Such a female murderer can't be offended. Tired of chopping and knocking, Zhu Nanbai put away two weapons, and replaced it with a Tianma crossbow, which was a burst of crackling shooting at Aizen, completely treating him as a meat target. Beating his body to pieces it fell, and then it was repaired by the power of Bengyu, and at the same time it was burned by the black flame. Hey, just suffer here slowly. I wanted to give you a good time when there was a thunderstorm, but it's a pity that it's not difficult to beat you with the strength. I just reached the first level of Skrito, but it really doesn't seem like it's going to kill you. So hard work for you. Quote. After playing tired and pouring out all the grievances in his heart, Zhu Nanbai let out a long breath and released the ultimate form. After all, the one who stayed in the shortest time after returning to the blade was the Tianma form, but the most tiring was the ultimate form, because the ultimate form is powerful, but it is a double-edged sword. Especially the spiritual pressure of Zhu Nanbai gives people a feeling of a powerful crisis all the time. The ultimate form will definitely bring boundless crisis. Therefore, Zhu Nanbai is in this state of change because of a sense of crisis. Because the power of the ultimate form is too powerful, it is easy to resist the temptation of the power, and it is counter-controlled by this force. If it cannot be resisted, it will simply withdraw from the ultimate form, or even become a fighting machine if it is serious. Therefore, Zhu Nanbai's current state of mind can only last for 10 minutes at most. After 10 minutes, it will be a bit dangerous to maintain this state. Of course, it is only now that Zhu Nanbai's strength will be stronger in the future, and his mind will be more stable and powerful, then the duration will continue to grow. If she has 1/10 of Maojawali's state of mind, then Zhu Nanbai can be in the ultimate form for a long time. Therefore, what Zhu Nanbai lacks now is not strength, but the cultivation of state of mind, which makes the mind more strong and stable is more difficult than the improvement of strength. Who are you here? Zhu Nanbai looked at Hiroko Mako and Ichimaru Yin. Others might not know the purpose of Ichimaru Yin following Aizen, but as one of Lu Chengkong's wives, how could Zhu Nanbai not know? This generation can be said to be an apprentice. Why would Ichimaru Jin, who should call himself a teacher, follow Aizen's side? 662-663 The tortured Aizen. Since you can't kill him, let me try it. Ichimaru-jin came to Aizen in a blink of an eye, squinting with a creepy smile. But I want to ask you to take back all the flames on his body. It's no fun to fight him like this. Are you sure? Ju Nanbai stared at Ichimaru-jin and confirmed that the latter did not mean to joke at all, and then he did not refuse to wave his hand. The black flame that burned on Aizen was immediately taken back, and Aizen was no longer rolling. But it was like the rest of his life, gasping for breath. Then I'll leave it to you. After Ju Nanbai finished speaking, she turned back to Lu Chengkong using the sound. She had done her best, and how much did it cost to upgrade from a vice captain level Reaper to the first level of Scredo hardships not many people know at all. Although she didn't kill Aizen in the end, she didn't regret it at all, because she knew that Aizen would definitely die today, and she just let Aizen try what it's like to be unhappy. Life is better than death, no matter how big the hatred is. 7, 7, 8, 8. Silver. Lan Ran's arrogance brought about by Bengyu has been greatly touched, and he no longer dares to underestimate anyone, even if it is the one in front of him. He knew early on that he was spying on him at any time. He didn't dare to underestimate the god of death who would take his own life. Because he remembered another identity of the Ichimaru-jin in front of him. Lu Chengkong was his teacher. Even if he didn't learn 10 things, he learned 3 or 4 times enough to drink a pot by himself. Captain Aizen, this may be the last time I've called you that. Shoot him, the spear. Ichimaru-jin said with a smile, but a white light shot out of the abrupt cuff and suddenly penetrated Aizen's chest. Aizen didn't expect Ichimaru-jin to attack suddenly, but even so, he did nothing, because he secretly prepared for battle early in the morning, but what he couldn't believe was that he was no more than Ichimaru-jin's god. Gun. You may not know it. In fact, my Benkai's ability has always been described in many parts. Yes, it can be stretched for a long time and the speed is the fastest. In fact, it is so simple to answer. Today, I will let you see it. My real Benkai, shoot him, God kills him. Ichimaru-jin pointed at Aizen with a short Zanpakuto, and Aizen couldn't see the speed of expansion and contraction for a moment. He only felt a pain in his chest, and a small hole gradually appeared. How can your strength be so strong? Aizen glared angrily, roaring almost in a hysterical manner. He really couldn't understand how the strength of the god of death under his own eyes could be so strong, although he couldn't kill it. Even if Aizen didn't want to admit it, he had to admit that Ichimaru-jin was the same as Kuninbai. In terms of strength, he has already surpassed himself. Although Bengyu has not yet begun to withdraw his power, he has not output more energy to him to help him continue to evolve. That is to say, if he cannot win Bengyu's approval, he has been at this level in his entire life. To be honest, with my current strength, the ability of the god-killing spear has been completely tapped out. If it was before, I would definitely tell you that the knife can't be stretched that long, and it's not that fast, it's just stretching. In the process, it will instantly turn into dust, which contains deadly toxins that can dissolve cells. But now I can tell you very clearly, my god-killing gun can be said to be the fastest Zanpakuto in retracting speed. It turned out that I had underestimated the magic gun before, thinking that the magic gun was not that fast, nor did it stretch. It was so long, it turned out not to be so. He was indeed very long and stretched very quickly. It's just that in the past, my strength was only at the peak of Captain Reaper's peak, that is, the peak of Vastord, and I had the ability to completely unearth all the power of the god-killing spear, but now I can exert the power of the god-killing spear to max. Aizen's 13 km has already passed. Now I don't know how fast the speed of expansion and contraction of the killing gun is based on my strength, and how long it can stretch. I haven't tested it. What is the point of the god-killing gun? Ichimaru-jin danced his short killing spear, spinning it in his hand, and said softly. The fastest Zanpakuto. Toxin, it's a pity that you still can't kill me. Haha, even if you can hit me naked, you still can't kill me. As long as I don't die, I can escape, leave, and become more Chang. At that time you will all die in my hands. Aizen laughed madly, and unabashedly expressed her thoughts of retreating, because even if she said it, it was nothing, but just told the enemy who defeated him that he wanted to escape, but he couldn't keep himself. He wanted to make Lu Chengkong and others depressed. Hee, it seems that you are still so arrogant. Why don't I tell you the division of strength between Reaper and Void, and above Captain Reaper and Vastord is Scredo, which is divided into beginner and intermediate. High level and peak, and above the peak of Scredo is the Virtual King, and above the Virtual King are the Spirit King and Wangshu. You said that you were going to find the Spirit King. Hee, just relying on your strength to go to the Spirit King, you were bombarded and killed by his Zero Squad without even seeing his face. The weakest members of Team Zero are the juniors of Scredo, and the strongest ones are the high level or even the peak of Scredo. As for the vice captain, it should be at the level of the Virtual King. The strength does not have this qualification to know. Ichimaru Jin sneered at Aizen, who had recovered. His Ichimaru Jin's battles were always very direct and fast. Although the attack just now was simple, it was over in just a moment, but he was currently the strongest. Fastest single attack. Since he can't kill him, let him leave the knife to others, so as not to waste time. Anyway, the toxin he left in Aizen's body is already painful enough for Aizen. It can be said that the pain caused by his toxin is no less than that of Aizen. The pain that Ju Nanbai's black flame brought to Aizen could be regarded as a bad breath, and the revenge could be regarded as half of the revenge. You must know that today is different from the past. In the original book Ichimaru Jin, only the toxin released by the strength of Captain Death can open a big hole in Aizen. Although the toxin was finally removed by the power of Bengyu, but now Ichimaru Jin's strength is much stronger than Aizen's current fourth stage of collapsing jade. How can his toxin be removed? So even if Aizen recovers the wound, the toxin released by his god-killing gun is still lurking in Aizen's body and constantly torturing him, which seems to be better than killing him. 664 hit hard. How could it be like this? Lan Ran's eyes flashed all kinds of complicated light, and he found that he used to think that countless people in the world were watching the sky. What Ju Nanbai said was wrong. You are just a deformed existence catalyzed by Bengyu. How can you understand what happened after you really broke the limit of the virtual and the god of death? Ichimaru Yin said that he was full and turned his head and turned away. In fact, such Aizen has lost his qualifications to spy after he broke the limit. He still stayed by Aizen's side, but he just felt that the distance between Aizen and the world was empty. It's not long since he's been around, so just stay for a while, he's also idle and bored anyway. He is not at all worried that the Soul Realm will deal with him, not to mention his strong background, Lu Chengkong, just because of his current strength, Soul Realm has no ability to deal with him. And now he has broken the limit, it will become stronger in the future. Old man Yamamoto is not such an idiot, Ichimaru Yin thinks right, and will try his best to win over any old man Yamamoto who breaks the limit. Because in the past, all the gods of death who broke the limit in the soul world would be sent to the Zero Team. It is rare now that there are so many gods of death in the soul world who have broken the limit and do not go to the Zero Team or even hate the Zero Team. Old man Yamamoto is too happy to deal with it. City Maru Silver. How far have you reached? Aizen now feels that he is really in trouble. First, he was burned by Heian for so long, and now Heian finally left, and it was too painful to replace it with a heart-piercing toxin. This, if it's mine, it's Scredo Elementary, Kunanbai Scredo Elementary, Hiriko Meiko and Kuchiki Kyoka are Scredo Elementary, and Zakagi Kenpachi is Scredo Elementary. As for the peak, my old wife, Saifeng Yuan Yaiki, who is standing there, is also the peak of the first level Scredo, and Nellie L is the peak of the intermediate level Scredo. Ichimaru Jin glanced at Lu Chengkong. The latter clicked after nodding his head. He dared to say it. I'm sorry, Nailu accidentally broke through yesterday, and now it's a high-level Scredo. Nilia's voice suddenly interrupted Ichimaru Yin's words, and immediately made Saifeng Yuanyi's eyes again and again, asking, knowing that Lu Chengkong told him only a few days ago that Nellie L's strength is only the peak of the middle rank of Scredo, and it takes an opportunity to break through to the high rank. Have you reached a high level? This is hard to say. Normally, in addition to the breakthrough in the battle of life and death, it is to swallow a higher level. For example, if Nailu wants to break through, it is possible to devour the Daksu of the Peak of Skrito, but it is not that you don't know Nailu. A few days ago, she suddenly told me that she was my eternal guardian female knight, and she broke through not long after. Quote. Lu Chengkong had no choice but to explain to Saifeng Yuan Ye's gaze. Speaking of which, he was also very depressed. He worked so hard to achieve today's achievements. How come so many of his wives are so defiant? Breaking through the shackles is like eating and drinking water. With a single word, you can have an epiphany. This makes Lu Chengkong doubt whether he is a transmigrator or Nellie Lu is the transmigrator many times. Guarding. Nellie L's heart is guarding, her husband's guarding female knight, Ru's strength is guarding, please come here. Saifeng Yuan Ye remembered the symbol of the spiritual power controlled by Nellie Lu, and then thought of Lu Chengkong's words, and after thinking about it carefully, it was generally understood. This is Nailu's road to becoming a strong man. I just implemented my own road to becoming a strong man, so that I can better understand the path I want to take in my heart. It can be regarded as a breakthrough in my state of mind. Nellie L said with a smile. She was not proud at all, and it was precisely because of this that she had a very good relationship with all Lu Chengkong's wives, and no one had ever been jealous of her. Elementary level, peak of primary level, high level. What about Lu Chengkong and Bachenliu? It can be said that these two people have never been seen through, and from what Zhu Nanbai said just now, she said that Lu Chengkong himself he has reached a level that he can only look up to his whole life. Why don't you ask Lu Anju? You almost took away her spiritual power back then, but you had a good vision at that time. Lu Anju is just like Nellie Lu, and is called by the teacher as an existence with defiant aptitude, even if you don't have it. People teach that it is unattainable for them to explore and achieve alone. One has reached the high level of Skrito, and the other is the middle level of Skrito. Quote. Ichimaru Jin found that he seemed to like hitting Aizen very much, especially when he knew that he couldn't kill him and could only make his life worse than death. As for the Bachenliu you've always wanted to know, she is truly blessed. Not only is her innate aptitude already very high, even if it is less stubborn than Nellie Lu and Ranju, and she is more than a person who cultivates alone Nellie Lu and Ranju, and Bachenliu acquired a good mother and brother to teach and help her. If her strength has not changed in the past few days, she should be at the peak of Skrito. Ichimaru Jin said that there was a sudden pause, then looked back and forth like a thief, left and right, and then stretched his head over to the place next to Aizen's ear that was only 1 centimeter apart before stopping, using only Aizen to listen. The voice that arrived left 4 sons, Wang Shu and Lingju. Such simple words made Aizen's eyes widen, his pupils shrunk to the extreme, and he looked at Lu Chengkong who was lying there with his eyes closed and enjoying it with a ghostly look. Now I have thoroughly understood that Aizen, who has broken the limit of death and void, is no longer ignorant. Of course, I know that Wang Shu and Spirit King are just different names, but the names of the same level are the pyramids of death and void. The existence at the top of the peak. He already fully understood why Zhu Nanbai just said that Lu Chengkong has reached the existence that he can only look up to forever. Just when there was a hint of despair in Lan Ran's heart, a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind, and he was so happy that he had a good mother and brother to teach him the day after tomorrow. The brother is Lu Chengkong, so who is the mother? Is it? Looks like you've guessed something. Congratulations to you, Aizen, this time you're not being smart. Bachenliu's brother is Lu Chengkong, so of course his mother is Mao Zhawali. Maybe you don't know, she is better than King Ling and Wang Shu, the former captain of Team Zero. Ichimaru Jin already knew what he had guessed when he saw the change in Aizen's expression, so he also hid a word in his ear and left without staying for a moment. It can't be like this, although I know that woman is not simple, but how can she be so strong? Aizen was really lost. He didn't think that there were so many hidden under his eyes in the soul world. The strong man, thanks to him, he also madly said that he was a god. I'm sorry, she is so strong. According to my teacher, when Captain Ujawali told you to hypnotize you, you just wanted to study your Jingwashueyu's ability when you went according to your plan. Your so-called Jingwashueyu is in her. In his eyes, a single thought can be cracked. Quote. 664-665 Send I ran on the road. Junzi, are you going? Liu Changkong was tortured by Blue Dye for this original work, and even destroyed his life achievements, but now he has his own interference and has not been blurred, and his future has not been destroyed. Asked by Mako Hirako, who became the existence of the god of death and the imaginary limit. My abilities are mainly auxiliary, and I don't have much aggression. The powerful offensive abilities of Shiro and Ichimaru Jin and their biased attacks can't kill this Aizen who was transformed by Bengyu into a dead body. I can only defeat him easily. It seems to be difficult to kill him, and now Aizen has already resigned, and he was beaten by Ichimaru Jin. I can't kill him. Don't start. Hirako Mako hesitated for a moment, and finally shook his head. After all, he was telling the truth. It seems that it is no longer necessary to torture Aizen. With the torment of Ichimaru silver poison, there is no need for him to take action, not to mention Mako Hirako. He is not the kind of existence who likes to torture people. What about you? Liu Chengkong looked at Zengi Kenpachi, Kuchiki Shanghai and the others, while Kuchiki Shanghai shook his head and said he wasn't interested, and Zengi Kenpachi said he didn't have any intention to fight and just wanted to run away. Fighting is boring. Since neither of you, husband, let me do it. Suddenly, a coquettish voice that made people feel soft and soft, abruptly sounded, and a blonde stunner with stalwart super big breasts came out of the darkness. It was Matsumoto Ranju. He wanted to take away my spiritual power back then. Since you can't kill him, or don't want to take action, then let me do it. Matsumoto Ranju first gave Liu Chengkong a wink and said, go if you want. Liu Chengkong shrugged indifferently, signaling Matsumoto Ranju to be free. Yin, you're too old, don't let your husband worry about you anymore. For this personal intrusion, he once saved himself. His lover Liu Chengkong, so Matsumoto Ranju is still very concerned about Ichimaru Jin's personal access. I won't let the teacher worry about it anymore. Ichimaru Yin faced this Matsumoto Ranju, who he had always treated himself as a personal visit. His voice was much gentler, and at the same time, he said that he would not let Liu Chengkong worry about himself in the future. After all, he is a teacher. That's good. Matsumoto Ranju said that the whole person seemed to have turned into a storm and appeared directly in front of Aizen. He looked down at Aizen, who had no fighting intent in his eyes. Obviously, he was hit hard enough by the cruel reality. Let's go. Suddenly, the blue dye that had been half kneeling on the ground gave the impression that his eyes were empty and gray, and the collapsed jade flashed a glimmer of light. I thought that although he was hit just now, he definitely did not lose his soul. The dejected and disheartened appearance is just pretending to paralyze Liu Chengkong and others. Now that this more powerful Ranju has come out, he can't guarantee that Matsumoto Ranju, who is so much stronger than Ichimaru Jin and others, cannot be killed. Own. If you stand here obediently and die, I will give you a happy death, but why do you want to die now? It's too stupid to choose to run away in front of me. The endless storms are all in my hands. Lo sing it, cat demon. Seeing that Bengyu flashed a glare of blue dye, the body became illusory and was about to disappear in place when Matsumoto Ranju was a slow shikai. Whoosh. The sky and the earth suddenly changed color, and 9 violent tornadoes that shot straight into the sky seemed to cover the sky like 9 wind dragons. With Matsumoto Rankamori spit out 4 words, storm enchantment. In an instant, Aizen's body, which was about to disappear, suddenly became real again. Obviously, the space movement of Bengyu failed. You can actually interfere with the space, Aizen said in horror while enduring the bone-eroding pain inside her body. I, who control the strongest Zanpakuto of the Qingfeng type, can do it even if I turn the storm into a sharp wind blade and sing the void, so it doesn't seem to be too difficult to use the storm to block the nearby space, unless you can break the 9 tornadoes that are raging in the nearby space, otherwise you won't want to use the space to move. Ranju Matsumoto clicked his fingers, and no matter how Aizen struggled, he found that he controlled his body and slowly lifted off into the air. The immortal body that Bengyu brings to you is just to constantly let your body repair your body at a super fast regeneration speed, which means that you will not die by simply blowing up any part of your body, including your brain. But what if you turn your whole person into dust in the sky in an instant? Matsumoto Ranju looked at Aizen, who was still struggling in delusion, with a slightly mocking gaze. His right hand slowly protruded, 5 slender jade fingers were spread, and the palm of his hand was facing upwards. Chi-chi. The whistling sound of a sharp and piercing storm splitting the space constantly sounded, making goosebumps all over the body when listening to it. I saw that the 9 giant tornadoes surrounding Matsumoto Ranju began to continuously release a miniature tornado that could be seen by the naked eye towards the palm of Matsumoto Ranju, spinning at an unseen limit speed. It was decided that a small gray hurricane was formed. This hurricane rotated at an extreme speed as if it formed an indestructible blade of wind. The space near the small hurricane began to appear space incisions that seemed to be cut by sharp tools. This is a collection of 9 tornadoes created by me, Shikai, that are constantly rotating at the limit speed, and at the same time, they are continuously compressed in the process of rotation, which makes this hurricane continue to shrink, and the density is more and more terrifying. It can be said that I was in Shikai. The essence of the 9 tornadoes is gathered below, and I named it the Death Storm. Quote. Matsumoto Ranju glanced at the Death Storm in his hand. The power released by such a terrifying small hurricane in an instant is definitely worthy of this name. It's the executioner who sent you Aizen Soyusuke on the road. Matsumoto Ranju looked at Aizen indifferently, especially when she saw the fear in Aizen's eyes. She smiled so brightly. The smile was full of irony towards Aizen. The arrogance just now did not depend on the immortal body. Now that he felt that his death storm could destroy his immortal body, he was afraid. Aizen was right. Gia, you are nothing more than that. Women are getting more and more terrifying now. Hiriko Mako said with chills all over her body, and she said in cold sweat. The gods of death who heard Hiriko Mako's words nodded in agreement, even Jingle Chunchui, who was fighting in Balagang. Can't help nodding. 665, 666 Aizen is slaughtered, and Nailu is arrogant. No, don't. Iran was unwilling and cried out in fear. He was not reconciled. He had been lurking for so many years and had put in so much effort. He is a pitiful creature, and now even his life is threatened. He is not reconciled. Don't worry, you won't be in pain. It will only take a moment for your body, your soul, your intelligence, and your consciousness to disappear at the same time, so no matter how painful you are, you will only be in pain. Matsumoto Ranju found that her tone was really strange, like a goldfish girl guy who was abducting a child, but she didn't care, and gently pushed the death storm in her hand towards Aizen, and the death storm was leaving after the jade hand of Matsumoto Ranju finally stopped asking meekly and showed its terrible teeth. The storm of death seemed to contain infinite suction, and Aizen was sucked in at once. Immediately, Matsumoto Ranju turned into a whirlwind and returned to Lu Chengkong's side. She didn't even look at Aizen, and the final result would be like this. Obviously, she was very confident in her own strength, and that her move could kill Aizen. Very confident. Aizen only felt a flash in front of his eyes, and then an extremely heart-wrenching pain came from every part of his body, but in another moment he completely lost consciousness. In the eyes of outsiders, Aizen was sucked by Aizen by a death storm that suddenly changed to a size that could completely wrap Aizen and wrapped it up. After the death storm became bigger, Aizen screamed. However, the scream came to an abrupt end almost as soon as it came out, completely losing its life. Boom! Suddenly, the death storm suddenly centered on itself, like a nuclear bomb explosion, and exploded with a loud bang. A terrifying spiritual pressure storm spread out in all directions as if it would destroy the entire space, scaring many gods of death to keep retreating. The gust of wind in the sky directly destroyed all the matter in the area covered by the explosion of the death storm. Not only that, but the sun in the sky seemed to be blocked, and it became extremely dim, as if it was the end of the world. 2 minutes later, the death storm slowly dissipated and the place shrouded by the death storm was revealed. The space in front is like a hornet's nest. There are countless space cracks that are very smooth and incomparably dense. Even through the countless space cracks, you can see the cosmic void outside the space. There are countless terrifying space turbulence, time and space storms. When I saw it, my scalp was numb and horrified. Such a terrifying death storm, and Aizen Soyusuke at the core of the death storm species is dead and can no longer die. At least not a single god of death or a virtual society thinks that Aizen can survive. The invincible Aizen just died like this, dying in the hands of such a charming and beautiful woman. Sure enough, the more beautiful, the more attractive a woman is, the more dangerous it is. Urahara Kazuki suddenly released Zanpakuto Kungi and released an attack similar to a phantom flash, killing the researcher Apollo in the 10 blades at once, and then let out a sigh. The 6166 Rod Light Prison. Seeing that Kazuki Urahara was taking the lead, the other Death God captains who fought with the 10 blades quickly resolved their opponents, and only himself had not yet resolved the Balagang Ruzen gang. The Jingle Chunshui also began to use his housekeeping skills, and the 4 skills of the God of Death began to show. Such a low-level ghost also wants to block the footsteps of the great Emperor going. In fact, the Skull Emperor Balagang Ruzen gang had already begun to retreat, especially when he saw Aizen being killed in an instant, even if he no matter how you want to seek revenge on Lu Chengkong, you know that he is just an ant in front of Lu Chengkong. To seek revenge for him is no less stupid than a mighty owl shaking a tree. It's a pity that just when he was going to use the breath of death to force Jingle Chunshui back and escape, Jingle Chunshui actually preemptively used the 6-stick light prison, although he was soon caught by him. The breath of death was corroded, but it also successfully blocked his escape. Enough is enough, I'm not alone. Jingle Chunshui raised his Zanpakuto to face the Ruzen gang in Balagan, and the swift and violent hurricane would suddenly hit the Ruzen gang in Balagang, causing him to be corroding the 6. The aura of death in the stick light prison had to be mobilized to block the incoming hurricane. It's over, the ghost. Jingle Chunshui also seized this opportunity and came to the top of the Balagang Ruzen gang in a blink of an eye, and used his most powerful force. It can be called a fatal blow as long as he stands higher than the enemy. Attacking at a low position can bring huge damage. The original game has the unique trick of hitting Stark. But this time, he hit the Balagang Ruzen gang and left a deep scar on his body. Because the Balagang Ruzen gang was originally the one who touched the skull, and there was no blood to shed in the state of returning to the blade, so even if it was cut, blood would flow out, but there was still a scream to tell everyone that he had indeed suffered trauma. Is this the great emperor going to die? The old man is unwilling to die in the hands of such a god of death. The old man has not yet avenged. Balagang Ruzen ganged up with styles and let out an unwilling roar, and immediately, regardless of the damage that he had caused his body to collapse to the limit, or even Jingle Chunshui, he rushed towards Lu Chengkong and swung the giant axe. When it is about to fly towards Lu Chengkong, Nellie L., who has been tired of being in Lu Chengkong's arms with a sweet and gentle smile, didn't see any movement at all. The whole person had left Lu Chengkong's arms and seemed to have passed through space and appeared directly in Ruzen, Balagang. 10 meters ahead. Ice condensed, the nearby air suddenly stagnates, except for Lu Chengkong. All the gods of death present only felt that they were suddenly pressed by tens of thousands of kilograms of gravity, and they couldn't move at all, and they even had difficulty breathing. And the Balagang Ruzen gang, which was targeted by this spiritual pressure, was directly pressed to the point where it made a crackling sound like fried chestnuts, and the body could not bear the oppressive force of this spiritual pressure. It was directly crushed into powder, and it was too late to even scream. Quiet, extremely quiet, the entire Kongza town became terrifyingly quiet in an instant. The sudden scene deeply stimulated the nerve receptivity of countless death gods. The 20th blade said that it was strong or not, and that it was definitely not weak. At least worship it. The Lagang Ruzen gang is no better than the Jingle Chunshui without Bankai. He will lose to the incomprehensible Jingle Chunshui in an instant. In addition to the fact that Balagang had already thought of quitting at that time, he is not good at deliberation, and it can even be said that he is not good at analysis, and Jingle Chunshui cannot hide this trick. The ability, coupled with the desire to retreat, there is no fighting spirit at all, and the strength can only be used at most 70%. He was led by Jingle Chunchui and then succeeded in defeating the Balagang Ruzan gang all at once. However, because the first powerhouse of the 10 blades could not withstand the spiritual pressure of Nelly, the powder that was pressed by Nelly with the spiritual pressure was such a sudden scene, and Nelly radiated it. How could the terrifying Reiatsu pressing on them not make them all sluggish? 666-667 Punching Kurosaki Aikiryu. Just died like this. Urahara Kazuki's eyes widened, even though he had just heard that Nelly L's strength was at the high level of Skrito, and the Balagan Ruzan gang was only catalyzed by Bengyu. The real strength of the high-rank Vastord is only around the peak of the middle rank of Vasto. The gap is very large, but I did not expect the gap to be so large that the spiritual pressure alone can make a high-rank Vasto to be pressed into powder. It is normal to use Reiatsu to push the opponent down or unconscious Urahara Kazuki, and even if the opponent is injured, he can accept it, but he never thought that he could use Reiatsu alone to crush a Vastod high-level dagger. To be pressed into powder, this is terrible, right? Is the difference between the Vastordian and Skrito highs really that big? It's so big that you don't need to use a single thought to release the Reiatsu to instantly kill the opponent, so how terrible will the existence above Skrito be? Thinking of this, Kazuki Urahara couldn't help but turn his attention to Lu Chengkong, a man who, in his opinion, has always been very complicated, and his wife has the strength of a high-level Skrito, so what about him? To be honest, Urahara Kazuki really hadn't seen Lu Chengkong take a shot for a while, which made him very curious about the extent of Lu Chengkong's strength. His strength, Kurosaki Yixin, who was hiding on the side, used to be at the peak of Skrito's strength. Although his strength is gone now, his vision is still there. Lu Chengkong gave him the same feeling as the former Spirit King. Wang Shu still the feeling that the leader of Team Zero gave him was unfathomable. Like the sea, it was impossible to detect how far he had reached. This idea made Kurosaki Yixin think it was too absurd. Lu Chengkong is only a few hundred years old. How could he have reached such a point? If this is the case, continuing to develop does not mean that he will surpass the Spirit King sooner or later. Wang Shu. It's over like this. Shuru Yukitaki felt that things had changed so quickly and so simply that the solution of Shu Yagong Aizen and his gang of broken faces made him feel as if he had just woken up from a dream, a bit insufferable. Confidence. Although I am also surprised, I have to tell you that it is indeed over. Jingle Chunchui pressed his hat and said with a sigh. Just when all the gods of death showed their happy and cheerful smiles, a sudden change suddenly appeared, and a shrill scream appeared very abrupt in the quiet sky of Kakuzucho, and all of a sudden attracted everyone's attention, the powerful and easy to follow seeing what's going on in the distance. I saw that about 2 kilometers away from here, there are 2 people who look 70% similar, only one looks relatively loyal, and the other gives people a cold and viper-like feeling, one of these 2 people. It was Kurosaki Ichigo's father, Kurosaki Isshin, but Kurosaki Isshin's heart was pierced by someone with a Zanpakudo. Seeing that there was too much air in and out, he obviously couldn't survive. Is this Dad's voice? Kurosaki Ichigo couldn't see that far, but when he heard the scream, he felt very familiar and immediately remembered who the owner of the voice was, and immediately screamed in anger. The voice just got stuck at the same time as it sounded. The eyes of the gods of death had to turn to Ichigo Kurosaki again. Like his father, Ichigo Kurosaki was pierced through the heart by this middle-aged man who was 70% similar to Ichigo Kurosaki. Before he could even let out a scream, he just hiccuped and lay down. It's so fast. I was clearly 2 kilometers away just now. Why did I suddenly come here and kill Ichigo Kurosaki, and kill Ichigo Kurosaki and Ichigo Kurosaki in an instant? Who is he? Urahara Kazuki couldn't hold back the surprise in his heart and said that things were developing so fast that even if someone wanted to save Ichigo Kurosaki, it was too late, because they didn't have time to give birth to the idea of saving Ichigo Kurosaki. Ichigo Kurosaki protected himself after being killed. The development of events is too sudden, and it is too fast to be overwhelmed. Oh my god, why are so many monsters appearing recently, and each one's strength is more perverted? Liuch Quanshi said in his heart, but he was ready to fight. Although he was not this person's enemy of unity, it did not mean him. We'll catch up. Is it finally here? He should be Ikiryu Kurosaki, right? Lu Chengkong showed a weird smile, as if he knew Ikiryu Kurosaki would come, or that he had been waiting for Ikiryu Kurosaki. In other words, the Spirit King and others behind Kurosaki Ikiryu and Wangshu and others appeared. I just didn't expect Wangshu and Ling Wang to appear before this clown jumping beans came out and collapsed first. It should be Ling Wang and Wangshu who were healing. They thought that Wangshu and Ling Wang were both seriously injured. For a long time, the fashion department will not recover. Thinking that no one is suppressing his head, Ikiryu Kurosaki can't wait to come to the world to cut the grass and take away the roots of Kurosaki Masaki, but unfortunately Kurosaki Masaki is his own woman, and dare to attack his own woman's idea even if it is only one thought was about to die, and in an instant, Lu Chengkong already had in mind Vice Admiral Ikiryu Kurosaki and sentenced him to death. Kurosaki Masaki is not here. Damn, where is it? Is it in the soul world? Or is she dead? I can't feel her Reiatsu, There are so many gods of death here who break the limit. There is one. Did you actually reach the Skrito high level? Kurosaki Ikiryu couldn't sense Kurosaki Masaki's Reiatsu, and immediately cursed in disgust. In his anger, he fired 2 phantom bullets at the bodies of Kurosaki Isshin and Kurosaki Ichigo, killing them completely. I didn't expect that there would be such a thing. Except for Hikashu Kiryu, I didn't expect to encounter such a beauty and strength. When Kurosaki Ikiryu saw Nellie L, he suddenly thought in his heart, but he didn't know that it was precisely because of his crooked thoughts that he was closer to death. I'm the vice captain of Team Zero, Ikiryu Kurosaki. All personnel in the Soul Society must obey my command. The 2 who violated the laws of the Spirit King have already been executed by me. This woman is also suspected, so I'm going to take you. Ikiryu Kurosaki is worthy of being an old river and lake. Of course, he admires his thick-skinned face, and he can say it if it has nothing to do with it. It's a good show. Pingzi Junzi, Kuchiki Shanghai, and Zanmu Janba were not afraid at all. Obviously, they all knew how far Lu Chengkong was, and now they suddenly heard someone dare to say such words to Lu Chengkong's wife. Immediately, interest came, and at the same time, he looked at Kurosaki Ikiryu with a pitiful, idiot and dead man's eyes. I really haven't heard of a woman who dared to say that for a long time. Dare to beat my wife's idea. Even if you just have this idea, say it. You don't have to live in this world, Kurosaki Ikiryu. Lu Chengkong's cold and touching voice sounded from behind Kurosaki Ikiryu, which startled Kurosaki Iryu. Before he could react, he only felt a pain in his back, and his whole body turned into a cannonball and was shot by Lu Chengkong from midair. It broke into the ground and directly blasted a deep pit with a radius of 1 kilometer in the ground. 667-668 Kurosaki Ikiryu's fear. How could someone come behind me silently? It's impossible to hide from my probing nerves. Apart from the King of Spirit, Wangshu and the captain of the Zero Squad can't have such an existence at all. Kurosaki Ikiryu endured the pain from his back, and felt as if his entire body had been beaten to pieces. Fortunately, with his strength, he had the super speed regeneration of the virtual, so he suffered fatal injuries very quickly. Just recover. Who are you? Although Kurosaki Ikiryu didn't concentrate just now, he was very apprehensive about Lu Chengkong, the person who came silently behind him, and the crooked thoughts just now were thrown aside. Beauty is good, but for a beauty, and he has not acted, he just has a thought to offend an enemy who is at least on the same level as himself or even better than himself. He is not so stupid, and now he regrets it very much. If I had known, I should have felt it carefully just now, but it's no wonder he has been in a high position for a long time. As the deputy captain of Team Zero, he has all the respect for the existence of the 3 other than King Ling, Wangshu and the captain of Team Zero. With a condescending attitude, Mingli thought that such a terrifying existence would suddenly appear in this world. Does it matter who I am? You will die today anyway. He originally sentenced Kurosaki Ikiryu to death after he got Kurosaki Masaki, but now this guy dares to think wrongly in front of himself and treat himself. His wife's words made Lu Chenggong decide not to let him die any longer. Guanyu. Kurosaki Ikiryu's face sank. He knew that he couldn't be good today, and at the same time he was very angry. Who was he, the high-ranking vice captain of Team Zero, who dared to speak so loudly? So arrogant. Now that he knew that he couldn't do good, Kurosaki Ikiryu immediately attacked and liberated the Zanpakuto. A Zanpakuto that was larger and larger than Kurosaki Ichigo's Zanpakuto appeared immediately and released a huge Zanpakuto. A slash similar to Crescent Moon Chong slashed towards Lu Chenggong, and at the same time he actually started to release the Ghost Path. The 91 Breaking Path. 1,000-handed smashing the cannon. The first shot is the number 91 Breaking Road. Look at the power of Kurosaki Ikiryu's number 91 Breaking Road, how powerful it is without singing. It's actually no different from full singing, and it's really powerful. Boring attack. A cold light flashed in Lu Chenggong's eyes, and he didn't mean to dodge at all. Arrogant. Kurosaki Ikiryu was annoyed, but more of it was Gao Sheng, no matter if he was stronger than himself from time to time, but he was so arrogant to touch his own attack with his hands, and he was definitely injured. It's just that fantasy is often beautiful, but reality is often cruel. Lu Chenggong's right hand is as easy as tearing tofu, tearing up the huge crescent moon, and then attacking several rays of light as if catching a baton. Catch them, and then crush them one by one. You, who are you? Even if you are stronger than me, you can't take over my crescent moon Tianxiao and number 91's break with your bare hands. Are you the captain of Team Zero? Kurosaki Ikiryu seemed to have thought of something, remembered the leader of the Zero Division, who had never been able to show her true face and no one knew what she looked like, and immediately let Kurosaki Ikiryu associate Lu Chenggong with the Zero Division leader in front of him. At the same time, I regretted that I went to the intestines. Why my mouth stinks so much? If I bear it for a while, everything will be fine. Now it seems that I am in trouble. What? Captain of Team Zero, can't you? Urahara Kazuki's eyes widened immediately. Although he was also surprised by Lu Chenggong's strength, he was even more surprised by Kurosaki Ikiryu's words. It seems that there is a real possibility. When I first met this guy Zhang Kong, although he was so weak that he had almost no spiritual pressure, he gave me a feeling of extreme danger. Later, after getting along for a long time, I became suspicious of him. What used to be an absolutely terrifying Grim Reaper just lost his strength for some reason and was rebuilt. Zengi Kenpachi expressed his opinion in a timely manner, and his words immediately surprised the countless Death God captains and vice captains present. If it was really like what Zengi Kenpachi said, Lu Chenggong is not a very noble person. Team captain, especially the old man Yamamoto, was in a cold sweat. He actually fought with the captain of the Zero team. Isn't this courting death? Hey, Kenpachi, your imagination is too rich. Although you guessed correctly, I was indeed a strong man in the past, and I did lose my power, but I am not the captain of the Zero squad as you said. However, you have also met the captain of the Zero team, you all know it. I think no one in the whole soul world does not know who she is. Lu Chenggong was a little speechless and pressed his temples. When did Kenpachi Zeraki's fantasy power be so rich? We've all seen it. No one knows it. Zengmu Kenpachi was stunned, and recalled that there seemed to be no such a number one person among the people he knew. Suddenly, a figure with an incomparably compassionate and inclusive temperament was there. In his mind flashed an exclamation that made him conditioned reflex. Could it be Maujawali? Did you call me Captain Zakagi? At this moment, Ujawali's voice full of maternal brilliance suddenly rang in everyone's ears, and a strange scene appeared. There was no one present except Lu Chenggong. He noticed when Uno Hanaritsu came to Nellie L's side, as if she was standing here early in the morning, but no one noticed until she took the initiative to speak. Captain Ujawali. Unbelievable exclamations spit out from the mouths of the captains and vice-captains. They were all poetic, surprised, and looked at the former captain of the 4th Division, Ujawali, in disbelief. It turns out that it is no wonder that the tone of the captain's resignation that day actually made the old man have no thoughts of resistance and disgust. It turns out that she is the captain of the Zero Squad who has never shown her true face in the legend. The old man Yamamoto sighed, and all the pictures from the past flashed before his eyes. At this moment, he also agreed with the words of Kenpachi Zakagi that Unahakali was the captain of Team Zero. What? This woman is actually the captain. Is it really her? Kurosaki Aikiryu shivered as he looked at Unahakali. Obviously, the prestige of the leader of Team Zero was too great. Lai's prestige is greater than that of the Spirit King. Why don't you believe it? Ujawali chuckled. A green mopping cloak with a hood suddenly appeared on Ujawali's body, covering her whole body. Such a familiar appearance immediately made a ghost in her heart. The fear of Kurosaki Aikiryu, who had done something wrong to the Soul Society and the God of Death, was dumbfounded and almost instinctively called out, "It's the captain." It was this scream that completely confirmed the identity of Ujawali, and the whole empty town sounded a clear breath of cold air, obviously surprised by the true identity of Ujawali, trembling. 668, 669 The tragic Kurosaki Aikiryu. I actually provoked the captain. She would appear like this. Doesn't it mean that she will not appear in the non-spiritual king realm? Why did she suddenly appear? Does she know about my deal with Wang Shu? Yes, it must be like this. Aikiryu Kurosaki was extremely depressed. He knew that he would not come, and it was better to stay in the Spirit King realm. Why was he so unlucky today? It was just because of his bad breath that he provoked Lu Chengkong, who was at the same level as Wang Shu, King Ling, and Mao Zhawali, and then caused him to be frightened by Mao Zhawali. If you ask him what he regrets the most in his life, if the matter is anything, he will definitely say that he has come to this world today. Where can Aikiryu Kurosaki, who has a ghost in his heart, dare to stay and tear the black cavity immediately, and wants to rush into Wang Zuji? He has a deal with Wang Shu. If Ujawali really knows to tell this matter, then Spirit King he will never let him go, only Wang Shu can keep him. It's just that he doesn't know the real relationship between Mao Zhawali, Ling Wang, and Wang Shu. The injuries of Wang Shu and Ling Wang were caused by Mao Zhawali, but if he knew it, he might directly scare him. Not sure of death. Did I say you can go? Azuki Karatsu's red lips parted lightly, and just as Kurosaki Aikiryu's body was about to enter the black cavity, the voice of Uzuru Kali rang out. Ujawali's voice seemed to contain an incomparable majesty that space was not allowed to be violated. The cracked black cavity was instantly joined together. Kurosaki Aikiryu didn't rush into the black cavity, and immediately made him almost fall out of the air. Go down. You're really amazing. You brought up Wang Shu. But that doesn't matter. Anyway, I don't want to be the captain of the Zero Team, and now I'm not the captain of the Zero Team. Even if you kill the king, I will not care, but I never want to leave any regrets. Although I am no longer the captain of the Zero Squad, logically speaking, I don't need to waste any effort and time to deal with you, but the time you committed the crime was after all the time when I was still the leader of the Zero Squad. Although I don't like it, but this sentence is quite reasonable. What's more important is that you actually hit my sister Nilu's head. Do you think you should die? At this moment, Mao Zhawali is no longer the former captain of the 4th Division, the gentle, and Hexy's Mao Zhawali, who is dedicated to saving the dead and the wounded, but a godlike Mao Zhawali who is aloof and majestic and cannot be offended. Such an unfamiliar side makes the captain and vice-captain who are familiar with the god of death all feel very strange. Is this really Uno Hanari? Sister, God, didn't I just say a word? How did she provoke so many monsters, and her background is really so awesome. Kurosaki Aikiryu regretted his bowels, and looked in horror at Nellie L who had never looked at her from beginning to end. Now he can be said to be completely despairing. Escape. Where can he escape? Blow up. Maybe he was beheaded by Ujawali as soon as he had this idea. My wife, let me do it. Lu Chengkong's words made Kurosaki Aikiryu's head seem to have been drilled into his head by a sharp cone. With a bang, his head could no longer function, and he could think about anything. God, what is this man talking about? He actually called Ujawali as his wife, and what made Kurosaki Iryu unable to change is that Ujawali did not have a trace of disgust or disgust, but there was undisguised tenderness and love in his eyes, which made him even more so. Kurosaki Ikiryu felt a whirlwind and almost fell to the ground. Mao Jihuali and Lu Chengkong exchanged glances, and found the firmness in it and the love for his wife, and immediately made Mao Jihuali show a glamorous and soul-stirring smile. As hot as Matsumoto Ranju. But Mao Jihuali is introverted, while Matsumoto Ranju is the first glance. Even if Matsumoto Ranju is conservative, not dressing up at all will give people a natural charm, a stunning sense of stunning beauty. Feel free to choose one. A glance, an action, a sniff and a frown are enough to turn all living beings upside down. But Ujiwali is completely different from Matsumoto Ranju. No matter where she goes, she is obviously very low-key, but her eyes are unable to focus on her. That kind of indescribable attraction is invisible. But it radiated from her body, like an international superstar of the earth, and wherever she went, it was the focus of everyone's attention. Of course, the charm of Mao Jihuali is definitely not comparable to that of a superstar. No matter how low-key she is, how restrained she is, and wherever she goes, she can make people chasing stars and bowing to the moon. People don't dare to look at her with any colorful eyes or even any crooked thoughts, and Mao Jihuali's temperament is too unique. At first glance, you may only think that she is a stunning beauty with a rare appearance and excellent temperament, but there will never be the amazing feeling of Matsumoto Ranju that makes people feel hot all over. However, Mao Zihua's strong appearance gives people a kind of beauty that is more and more beautiful, which belongs to a kind of introverted appearance plus her unique graceful and luxurious temperament and a beautiful and refined appearance. The longer I look at her, the more I am attracted, the more I feel that she is beautiful, the more I feel that she is indescribably beautiful. The possible time that she can't be seen is that she will fall into a stagnation and can't extricate herself after a little longer. Yeah, Mao Jihuali nodded slowly, which made Lu Chengkong very happy. The conversation between the two just now was actually exposing the true relationship between the two parties that had been hidden for a long time, and Mao Jihuali was obviously there is no resistance to this, but a bit of excitement and joy. Okay, then you can die, Kurosaki Ikiryu. The smile on Lu Chengkong's face faded, and his eyes were full of murderous intent that could not be concealed. Haha, I didn't expect that I, Kurosaki Ikiryu, would die because of this. Since that's the case, if you don't make me feel better, I won't make you feel better. The last crescent moon is howling. If Kurosaki Ikiryu were to face Uno Hanaritsu, the invisible deterrent force accumulated over the years would really make Kurosaki Ikiryu have no will or thought to confront him, but if the object is Lu Chengkong he just let it go. Even if this Lu Chengkong's strength might be on the same level as the Spirit King. A very simple sentence. The dog jumps over the wall in a hurry. If you don't let him have a good time, I won't let you have a better life. Even if you die, you will suffer a certain degree of damage, but unfortunately his wish has failed again. Kurosaki Isshin, Kurosaki Ikiryus are Crescent Moon Sky Chong, and Kurosaki Ikiryu is Crescent Moon Sky Crow. Although the names are different, the moves and appearance are the same. Is the last Crescent Moon Sky Chong? It should be the same as like the last Crescent Moon God. Do you abandon the power of death and use yourself as the Crescent Moon? The combat power that can make a Kurosaki Ichigo from the original work leap from the captain level to the first level of Skrito, although the time is extremely short, and Wuyu only has one attack, but it is not bad. However, the gap between the virtual king and Wang Shu, where is the gap between the captain level and the first level of Skrito? Even if you use Wuyu, it is impossible to release the Wang Shu level attack, not to mention even if you release as the attack of Wang Shu level useful for finding it. Lu Chengkong didn't stop Kurosaki Ikiryu, but looked at the difference between Kurosaki Ikiryu's last Crescent Moon roar and Kurosaki Ichigo's last Crescent Moon rushing with interest. But it's true, it looks like going up is still the same. There is really no difference, except that the black crescent has turned into a white crescent. 669-670 Achievement of 8,000 streams. Is this your strongest move? The attack gained by giving up the power of the god of death. Lu Chengkong said, looking at Kurosaki Ikiryu, who was surrounded by white crescent slashes. That's right, you forced me, Wuyu. Kurosaki Ikuryu's face was extremely ferocious, and his eyes were full of resentment. Obviously, he could not wait to eat Lu Chenggong's meat. Although he regretted that he had come to this world today, but he hated Lu Chenggong even more. In his opinion, if it wasn't for Lu Chenggong's existence, he, the high-ranking vice-captain of the Zero Division, would definitely have a lot of enjoyment in life, but now he obviously has no way out, and he will take 10,000 steps and say that he is incompetent. After killing Lu Chenggong, Mao Zhawali, who was standing on the side, would not let him go, let alone Lu Chenggong who could kill him. Do you resent me? Haha, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, you'll be a dead person soon. What's the use of a dead person's resentment? If you want to blame it, it's your thoughts that shouldn't be moved. Lu Chenggong didn't care at all. Kurosaki Ikuryu's face, like a hungry wolf, didn't even care about Kurosaki Ikuryu's powerful attack. Really, let me die with you. Kurosaki Ikuryu roared viciously, using himself as the crescent moon, waving his right hand towards Lu Chenggong. A super large white slashing wave belt enough to tear the world apart with a sharp air-breaking sound and terrifying pressure, he flew directly to Lu Chenggong. Oh my god, it won't be the end of the world, right? Fortunately, the world has shifted, otherwise the airwaves generated by this move would be enough to destroy the entire Kongsa town. Shiryu Kataki watched in horror as Ikuryu Kurosaki unleashed Wuyu with the strength of the Void King. This blow was too terrifying. Much more terrifying than the death storm of Matsumoto Renki just now. Compared to this, I think you should worry about Lu Chenggong, but seeing how calm he is, he hasn't even released Shikai's abilities. It should be because he is very confident in his own strength, and you think you can get the Spirit King. Will the favor of the first-level team leader of the Zero team be so simple? Jingle Chunshui waved his hand and said indifferently, anyway, this is not the present world. It will be destroyed if it is destroyed. In comparison, if he can see this level of existential combat, he feels that it does not matter if the real world is destroyed. There is this. It's not just Jingle Chunshui who thinks, all the captains and vice-captains have the same idea as Jingle Chunshui. Even the most rigorous old man Yamamoto couldn't help but have this idea. King Spirit, Wang Shu's first-level powerhouse, the kind of powerhouse that really only exists in legends. I was fortunate enough to meet them today. Fighting, thinking about it is very exciting. Is there already a blow from the peak of the virtual king? It seems that this guy is not useless. The Kurosaki family has been the deputy captain of the Zero team for so many years. It is also a bit of a skill. This move alone makes many people dare to fight. Their ideas are extremely dreadful. No wonder Wang Shu will take a fancy to Kurosaki Ikuryu. Mao Zhawali is the most casual and the most reassuring. Others may not know the extent of Lu Chenggong's strength, but how could she, the person beside her, not know? Although this blow was powerful, it was far from enough to face Lu Chenggong. It's far from the 10-direction killing that I released when I was the Void King. At that time, I might even be able to injure Wang Shu and the Spirit King who had the quasi-spiritual strength level after the fusion. Lu Chenggong was looking forward to the last crescent moon Tianxiao who did this trick, but now it doesn't seem to be very good. People are more popular than dead people, and can release the peak attack of the virtual king with the strength of the first-level virtual king. In the world of death, it is a heaven-defying existence. What else does he want? Is this your strength? It doesn't seem to be enough, but I can't let Wuyu, which you exchanged for the power of death, disappear. I want you to help me. A sly light flashed in Lu Chenggong's eyes, giving Kurosaki Ikuryu a feeling of being put on the stage, as if he had jumped into the trap that Lu Chenggong had prepared for him for a long time. Sure enough, Lu Chenggong directly stretched out his right hand and was sluggish at Kurosaki Ikuryu. Under the collapsed eyes of countless death god captains and vice-captains, he suddenly grasped the super-large Wuyu that could tear the world apart, so that Wuyu could no longer be able to. Going. You are the most powerful state in your life right now, but I have waited for a long time. Why is Bachenliu hiding aside, and you haven't come out yet? Lu Chenggong clenched Wuyu tightly. Then he said to the empty air. Suddenly, the air that Lu Chenggong was looking at rippled in circles, and a small pink head with a ghostly head came out of it, and the lovely smile of Myangwa really made it impossible to get angry even if I wanted to. I got lost by accident. After Bachinliu came out, he lowered his head and put his feet on his feet like a child who did something wrong. The index fingers of the two pink otters played against each other. It's just that her excuse is a bit of the best. Although her ability to get lost is stronger than even Zanaki Kenpachi, if there is the Reiatsu of Lu Chengkong and Ujawali as a guide, this one. On the surface, only relying on her eyes to see and never think about not remembering the road will never be wrong. Obviously, she followed behind Lu Chengkong early in the morning, but she was afraid of being discovered by Lu Chengkong, so she hid to the side. Okay, don't pretend to be pitiful. I didn't let you come before because I was worried that Wangshu and the King of Spirits would come. There may be some other variables that will make you sit in the soul realm. It seems that you don't need it now. Now, here, this is the present I prepared for you. Lu Chengkong pointed to Wuyu and Kurosaki Aikiryu in front of him and said, and Kurosaki Aikiryu now completely understood what was going on. No, don't. Kurosaki Aikiryu immediately turned pale and exclaimed, but Lu Chengkong directly blocked his speaking ability with a ghost to prevent him from screaming to death. Xiaokong, your gift doesn't seem to be anything special. Yachinliu widened a pair of lovely eyes, and looked at Wuyu and Kurosaki Iryu in front of him with a look of dislike. Wife, please explain. Lu Chengkong's head was full of black lines. He tried his best to force Kurosaki Aikiryu to use Wuyu. Kurosaki Aikiryu, who was in a state of no moon, was the most beautiful in his life. In a strong moment, Bachinliu, who was at the peak of Skrito, did not encounter such a good thing as an epiphany like Nelia Lu, and might not be able to break through it for hundreds of years. So now swallowing a Kurosaki Aikiryu with the peak strength of the Virtual King is definitely a big supplement. It is absolutely no problem to break through the peak of Skrito to reach the Virtual King level, although Kurosaki Aikiryu, the god of death with the peak strength of the Virtual King, can only release an attack. But after all, it can barely be said to be the peak of the Virtual King. It can be said that Kurosaki Aikiryu was his worst day today. After using Wuyu, he lost the power of the god of death and even died immediately. After he died and ran, it would become a stepping stone to help Yachinliu break through. How could Aikiryu Kurosaki, who likes to lose and lose, wants to use everything he has to achieve the tonic of the 8 mainstream breakthrough Void King? He is really uneasy when he is dead, so he reacted so much just now. 671 The stepping stone of 8,000 stream promotion. Hey, you're really not careful enough. Although Aikiryu Kurosaki will benefit the most from being swallowed by Yachinliu, but you don't think about how to swallow Wuyu directly. Describe Wuyu's spiritual power, but it is full of aggression. You want to endure the 8,000 streams. If you kill Kurosaki Aikiryu, it will be even more troublesome. He has now given up all his power in exchange for Wuyu's blow. It is no longer normal to be killed in a short period of time. His spiritual power is still in his possession. Inside the corpse, and now Kurosaki Aikiryu has released Wuyu. If you kill him, the released spiritual power of Wuyu will dissipate in an instant. What do you ask Bachinliu to eat? Ujawali came over and said very dissatisfied, but looking at her expression, she didn't have the slightest dissatisfaction, but more like a flirtation between husband and wife. As the saying goes, if a wise person thinks, there will be mistakes, not to mention that Lu Chengkong is not a wise man. Of course, there are times when mistakes are made. Fortunately, Mao Zihua is there. With Lu Chengkong's understanding of his godmother wife, she will definitely have an answer. Trick Wei. If nothing else, Lu Chengkong didn't survive as much as Mao Zhawali. His knowledge, and experience were incomparable, and Mao Zhawali had mastered so many secret techniques, skills, and Zanpakuto abilities. If there is no solution, it would be too fake. However, after the battle brought about by Aizen and the fact that he fought it, it seems that the final profit is 8,000 Ryu, but it's nothing. Lu Chengkong has already made up his mind when he first saw Aikiryu Kurosaki. Make Kurosaki Aikiryu a stepping stone for the promotion of 8,000 Ryu to the Void King. Shui Wuyu. Ujawali really did not disappoint Lu Chengkong, liberating the Zanpakuto and turning it into a huge, flat one-eyed flying object that sucked the huge white Wuyu in front of him into his stomach. Of course, Ikiryu Kurosaki was also sucked in. Quiet, looking at the hand revealed by Ujawali, thinking that under her gentle and compassionate appearance in the past, if she offended her and made her unhappy, the devil's head that appeared behind her, and thinking of the present display of Ujawali. In one hand, many gods of death were dripping with cold sweat. I want to think that many of their death captains or vice-captains were injured and swallowed by Shui Wuyu. Thinking that they could get out of it with all their limbs and keys, they were very fortunate, especially many of the death captains were glad that they didn't. Provoking Maujawali. Otherwise, the other party was unhappy, and after being swallowed, a thought made Shui Wuyu digest herself, and she thought of this possibility, especially when she often finds someone to fight and gets injured and runs to Ujawali to receive healing and also bring it with her. The opponent who was injured by him went to Kenpachi Zakagi, and even the cold sweat broke out from his back. The other members of the 11th rank of Madoka and others were not much better. Obviously, their belligerent team had gone into Shui Wuyu's stomach for medical treatment a lot. Among them, Maramu and Zengaki Kenpachi were the most. Okay, Bachinliu, let's go in. After a while, Ujawali looked at Bachinliu with loving eyes and said to her. Yeah, Bachinliu was very clever at the critical moment. Hearing Ujawali's call, he jumped directly into Shui Wuyu's mouth, and he didn't know what to do until Shui Wuyu digested the scene of Kurosaki Ikiryu and Wuyu just now. The only person who dared to jump in so calmly or even to say that he was happy and jumped in was probably Bachinliu alone. Seeing that Bachinliu jumped in, Lu Chengkong was not worried at all. In his opinion, if the best thing for Bachinliu in this world besides himself would be the one in front of him who was both his godmother and his wife, Bachinliu. Chinliu's godmother, Mao Zihua, is very hot, and if she is around, there will be a fart to worry about. Godmother, what's the matter? After I came to this world, I had a feeling of depression, as if a little poisonous snake was staring at me somewhere I didn't know about, but then this feeling disappeared again. Lu Chengkong couldn't figure it out, so he had to throw the question to Maujawali. After all, Maujawali's understanding of Wangshu and Ling Wang should be more clear about their style and way of doing things. You really think they have lived in vain for so many years, but they never do anything they are not sure about, especially after being injured by you last time. They are even more afraid of you, your growth rate has been seriously threatened. They did, plus I think it was a breakthrough for them to recover so quickly this time around. The injury last time may have helped them and made them stand up like me, but after the two of them suffered a loss, they obviously treated you as a person of the same level, and saw Ikiryu Kurosaki stupidly walking away. Of course they are so happy after coming out to provoke you. Take this opportunity to see how strong you are. If it was just about the same as Ikiryu Kurosaki, one of them would definitely come out to fight me, the other would quickly deal with you, and then work together to clean up me, but what they didn't expect is that your strength is so strong, completely surpassing their imagination. To actually force Kurosaki Ikiryu to release Wuyu, and Wuyu actually acts like a toy in your hands, without the slightest effect. This kind of development is completely out of their control. Think about it. They originally planned to heli killed me first, and now I find that your strength is no less than theirs or even worse than theirs. In addition to the various trump cards you showed last time, they are very jealous. If they haven't negotiated a plan or found a suitable opportunity to kill us all at once, they will never do anything, especially since both of them are the gods of death who cherish their own lives very much, and cooperation is just force the pressure of the two of them combined is building. Of course, I don't want to be injured without any complaints and give the other party an opportunity. I think they will definitely scramble to devour us both after they solve us. At that time, whoever retains more strength and who suffers less injuries will be able to be the last Oriole and get the final harvest. Therefore, they will not shoot at will if they do not prepare separately, but if they do the words would be a thunderclap. Maujawali's simple words immediately dissected the somewhat confused road ahead of Lu Chengkong. Yuchin Maujawali had no intention of concealing her voice. Anyway, After she found her love, she did not do anything to save the dying and the wounded. From the moment she became the captain of the team, she did not intend to hide her identity, to be an ordinary captain and look at the situation with a smile. So of course she doesn't need to be deliberately secretive now, and of course she speaks with a kind of swiftness and fierceness. What's the matter with Maojawali, who can fight Wangshu and King Spirit alone for so many years without falling behind? Generation 671, 672 playing 8,000 little butts. It's no wonder that Wangshu and King Ling were so surprised when they saw that Maojawali was so good to Lu Chengkong, and it was no wonder that Kurosaki Yilong saw that Lu Chengkong was favored by Sijawali and married her as his wife, while Maoji Huli used to escape again, and when he looked at Lu Chengkong with tender and loving eyes, he would feel that his head was spinning without fear. Maojawali is indeed the proud daughter of the first day in the world of the god of death. She has gathered all the advantages of women in Jipping, and no man does not want to get such a woman as his wife. Even Wang Shu and Ling Wang, the two guys who wanted to kill Ujawali and devoured her to make him stronger, had such thoughts, but it's a pity that they looked down on the two of them at all. Even it was said that they ignored them, and in the end, Lu Chengkong got Maojawali. The resentment and jealousy in their hearts can be imagined. Tilda, the death god below, headed by the old man Yamamoto, heard the words of Maojawali and Lu Chengkong, and he was so angry. God, these two guys actually fought with Wang Shu and Ling Wang. Listen to Maoji Huli's tone was as if Lu Chengkong had injured King Ling and Wang Shu. It seems that the Wujawali, who is the captain of the Wufan team, has a great hatred with the Spirit King, and I heard from them that now the Spirit King and Wang Shu seem to have colluded and cooperated with each other in order to deal with the two of them, which made the old man Yamamoto feel it's embarrassing. This is the Spirit King, the symbol of the soul world, actually colluding with Wang Shu, the strongest person in the virtual circle. If someone else said such a thing, the old man Yamamoto would have passed by a long time ago, but there is no need to say such a thing with the strength and identity of the two, and the old man Yamamoto is not an idiot, combined with the appearance of Kurosaki Aikiryu just now. He completely believed the words of Ujawa Lily Lu Chengkong. I've known this guy for a long time that he is a monster, but I didn't expect the monster to get to such a level that even Wang Shu and King Ling can be injured. How long has he been cultivating? It's strange. Pingzi Junzi murmured in his heart, and Saifeng Yuan Yi was extremely proud. This is her man, her husband of Saifeng Yuan Yi, the man she saw at Saifeng Yuan Yi, who has a better vision than her. Okay. As early as when Lu Chengkong was still at the end of his life, when he was the weakest, he most needed help from others, he took a fancy to him, and he did not even give up the identity of the eldest lady, the heir of the four great nobles, and the restraint of women to pursue his own true love pursuit. A commoner with nothing, Lu Chengkong, that the nobles looked down on. For this reason, at that time, many noble children secretly laughed at Saifeng Yuan Yi, and even the senior members of the Saifeng Yuan family scolded and stopped Saifeng Yuan Yi many times. Unfortunately, Saifeng Yuan Yi's firmness was completely beyond the four. The elders of the Feng Yuan family were unexpectedly surprised. In addition to the identity and potential of Saifeng Yuan Yi, and the elders of the Saifeng Yuan family who knew her character, they did not dare to push too hard, but at that time, Saifeng Yuan Yi made such a move and it was 100 years of no regrets and no regrets. It hasn't changed in the slightest and is still under a lot of pressure. Therefore, after Lu Chengkong found out, he felt pity for a while, especially for his wife in the world of death, especially Saifeng Yuan Yi and Luanju, the two women who first had a relationship with him, after he did not suppress his feelings. With pity. In addition, they all came together when Lu Chengkong was the weakest. One was the latest to develop feelings and even chased after him, and the other was the first to have a relationship with himself, which also created the relationship between Saifeng Yuan Yi and Luanju. Status is very high. And although Maojawali joined later, she was the first woman who made Lu Chengkong move his true feelings in this world, and even took the initiative to break her original insistence. Therefore, her status is also with Luanju, Yi Yiba thousands of the same. I didn't expect him to be really that strong, but wouldn't the fight be over because of such a big gap? It's okay to fight, Back then, when this kid in the sky was weak, I deliberately suppressed our strength to the same level as him. Now it's time for him and me to suppress and find a level of strength. I have to say that Zengi Kenpachi was also brought down by Lu Chengkong. If it was the original book, he would definitely have this idea. He would never say anything about seeing such a powerful powerhouse even if he was killed. In the past, he played first, and under the influence of Lu Chengkong, Zengmu Kenpachi had a longer-term goal. It is absolutely not good to lose your life because of a small battle. If you are alive, you can enjoy more battles. You must not lose the countless battles that you could have encountered in the future because of a single battle. Who said that Zengi Kenpachi only knows how to run amok and has a good relationship with him? Even Aizen, who knows him better, has no longer dared to underestimate Zengmu Kenpachi, and no longer thinks that he is a Wufu, who only knew rampage, completely regarded him as a great enemy. Gu addicted. At this moment, Shui Wuyu's stomach rang out for a while, and Mao Zhawali also opened Shui Wuyu's mouth in a timely manner, and a small figure immediately fell out of it. The strange thing is that after it came out, the 8,000 streams have not changed in the slightest. It should be said that the spiritual pressure was vented when there was no strength breakthrough. It should be controlled by Ujawali in the belly of Shui Wuyu, and no one was aware of it. She smiled and was very happy. You should know that 8 Qinliu breakthrough succeeded. Has the breakthrough succeeded? The existence beyond Skrito only exists under Wang Shu, Shu Wang, and Maoji Walai and Lu Chengkong. Many gods of death also heard what Ichimaru Jin said to Aizen just now. They also felt that this battle was not in vain. They had gained a lot. I know, of course it's worth it. Tisk. Xiaokong, why don't you two ask me if I have made a breakthrough? The concern that was expected did not appear, and no one even bothered himself, which made Bachenliu frown and pouted his mouth very much. Said in a displeased way, that cute look makes people can't help but hold it in his arms and take good care of it. Look at your little ass and little head, your little butt is about to go up to the sky. Would you still be so happy if the breakthrough failed? Lu Chengkong looked like Bachenliu, who was really like a child, hugged her, and slammed her on her little buttocks, causing Bachenliu to be reluctant for a while. Not only did he not get the compliment, but he suffered a few blows on his little butt. Although it didn't hurt at all, it was like a massage, but Bachenliu was still very upset, and when he pouted his small mouth, he could hang up a few small oil bottles, and immediately twisted in Lu Chengkong's arms as if to tell him Lu Chengkong refused to obey himself and was very dissatisfied. Bachenliu was angry and the consequences would be serious. Okay, I'm still like a child when I'm young, but my Bachenliu is really powerful, and I reached the level of a virtual king at a young age. Lu Chengkong saw Bachenliu's stance and his coquettish offensive, and knew that if he didn't praise Bachenliu, he wouldn't give him, it's better. However, when Lu Chengkong was talking about Bachenliu's young age, Lu Chengkong held back his sweat. Liren Bachenliu looked like a little lowly, and her personality was also a little lowly, but her real age seemed to be 2 years old. It's more than 100 years old, and it's still not the days that passed when I entered the boundary. 672-673 Take away Shaoli and the Wanderer. Of course I'm the best. Although Lu Chengkong was forced to admire him, Bachenliu didn't care at all, instead he was proud of his little head raised like a proud little peacock. That cute look is really the same as a very delicate Barbie doll. Old man Yamamoto, I think you have to find another death god's agent. Ichigo and Kurosaki Ishin, they couldn't revive them, not to mention that even if the two of them had this ability, they couldn't revive them specifically for the existence of 2 people who were almost equivalent to strangers to them. Aizen is already dead, and there will be no more powerful breaches in this world for some time to come. Some of the death gods from the 13th division of the Guardian are already enough to deal with the ordinary emptiness below Kyrian. There's no need to look for an agent of death. And such a good seedling is not so easy to find. Even if I find the old man, I don't want him to take the fast road of Kurosaki Ichigo. It may be very powerful in a short time, but it is not a road with much future. I don't want to find such a good seedling to go down this road in the future. Although the death of Kurosaki Ishin and Kurosaki Ichigo made old man Yamamoto feel very sorry, although Kurosaki Ichigo has an unstable foundation and advanced too fast, it may be difficult to make progress in the future, but he now has captain-level combat power after all. It's a pity to die like this, but it's just a pity. The current Corpse Soul world is not comparable to the Corpse Soul world after the Eisen World War in the original book. Not counting Liu Changkong and his wives, as well as the other women around him, the 13th Division of the Guardian has more than 13 captain-level combat powers, surpassing the captain level and breaking the limits of death and imaginary. There are Zengi Kenpachi, Kuchiki Shanghai, and Hirako Meiko. In addition, the old man Yamamoto, who has lived for thousands of years, has not broken the limit, but because of the blessing of the Spirit King, it can be considered that he has a strength that is inferior to the first stage of Skrito, and is similar to or even stronger than the fourth stage of Bengyuhua. The old man Yamamoto. The current combat power of Soul Soul World is the highest in the years after the Spirit King left Soul Soul World. Therefore, the potential for Kurosaki Ichigo was good, but it may not have much after becoming unstable due to various reasons. Kunjin's death agent didn't feel much regret when he died. He just felt a little pity for such a combat power, and he quickly sorted out his emotions. By the way, there are also Shali and the Wandering Child. Anyway, the Kurosaki family is finished. Mizuki should be very happy. I think she also misses her two daughters very much. Liu Changkong nodded and didn't care about the follow-up work in this world. After returning to the Soul Realm, he suddenly remembered that Masaki seemed to have two lowly daughters. One of them was called Yuzi, who had the ability to cook and do housework, but was very cute. Not only did Mizaki bring one over to relieve the pain of losing a child, but Yakion Ryu also had two good playmates. With this idea, Liu Changkong immediately took action and came to the place where the town of Kakuza was stored in the Soul realm. He felt the spiritual power of the entire town of Kakuza. The spiritual power of the Kurosaki family is very high. Even Shali and the Wanderer, the spiritual power of the two little girls is still very high. If you become a god of death, you will be a good god of death. It is absolutely fine to train a proper vice captain. If you have the guidance of a god of death like Uno Hanalai, it is not a bad idea to be an ordinary captain of the god of death. As for the latter, Liu Changkong will not dare to say it. Soon Liu Changkong found two beings with relatively high spiritual power. And without saying a word, a flash, the speed of the ring is faster than ordinary shunpo, even a little faster than the advanced shunpo of the four great nobles, only slower than the top-level shunpo mastered by Sifeng Yuanyei. Therefore, Liu Changkong will fully combine the top-level shunpo that he learned from Sifeng Yuanyei and his own understanding, and will fully combine the advantages of shunbu, which he realized after breaking the limit, and which complements the lack of complementation and that of Sifeng, who majored in shunpo. Yuan Yei discussed and researched together, and finally developed the skill of teleportation with the advice given by Unahakali, and came directly to the two places of spiritual power. Sure enough, it's here. It seems that my probing nerves are quite strong. Liu Changkong walked into the house in front of him after a little narcissism. Sure enough, the two sleeping Lolitas were lying on the chairs. It may be that the god of death, who was in charge of transferring the world, felt that Shali and Yuzi possessed different spiritual powers than ordinary people, so the effort to put them into a deep sleep was a little heavier than ordinary people. Therefore, they didn't wake up either. After all, they were now sitting on a locked treasure house, but they couldn't use the contents of the treasure house. Wake up! Liu Changkong stretched out his hand and gently wiped the heads of the two loli. The two loli's eyelids, who were lying on the chair with their eyes closed, suddenly jumped, and slowly opened their eyes. It is a man whose appearance can only be regarded as handsome, but his temperament is very unique and attractive. This is the first time I see a man with such an attractive temperament. Even Shali, an expressionless loli, can't help but look. Vivi went red, but recovered quickly. Who are you? How are you in my house? Shali said to Liu Changkong vigilantly. Compared to the wandering boy staring at the side with clear watery eyes and a confused expression, her mental age is far beyond that of her peers. My name is Liu Changkong. As for who I am, the two of you will know right away. Lu Chengkong grinned isho and put his hand between the eyebrows of the two. The two women didn't respond at all, and immediately they felt a pain in their head. A memory that did not belong to their previous experience immediately turned into a real picture and played in their brains. Lu Chengkong put some memories of the god of death, as well as the appearance of Kurosaki Ichigo in the present world to kill Kurosaki Ichigo, and the memories of Kurosaki Isshin after he was killed by himself. However, it is of course impossible for an ordinary little girl with relatively high spiritual power to stop Lu Chengkong's means. After a while, the wanderer immediately whimpered and sobbed, thinking that the deaths of Kurosaki Isshin and Kurosaki Ichigo had made her very painful. Although she couldn't tell whether it was true or not, their reason told her that it was all true. The man's means alone can tell one or two. Especially when Lu Chengkong hugged the two girls and walked outside, he rose into the air and saw all the scenery in the Soul Realm. His friend Kuzumaki actually floated in an open space in the Soul Realm, which made them believe everything they knew. Now even the strong Xiaoli's eyes turned red. 674 Mother and Daughter 3. After all, she is just a little flower in a greenhouse. She has never experienced any wind and rain. Now she suddenly knows that her father and brother are dead. No matter how strong she is, she can't help crying. Plus they see Lu Chengkong taking Kurosaki. Yulong cleans up and is very grateful to this strange man and has a certain goodwill. Now the two of them are held in the arms of the man who avenged their father and brother. The stalwart chest and the breath of safety made them bury their heads in Lu Chengkong's arms and sob like injured kittens seeking protection. Finally cried out loud. Don't cry, although there is bad news for you, there is also good news. Although there is no guarantee that you will be happy immediately, it will not be so sad. Maybe it was because they had a great crush on Lu Chengkong's revenge for his father and brother, plus they were heartbroken now, and they were not too old to think so much, so they immediately raised their tears and looked at Lu Chengkong. Your mother Kurosaki Masaki isn't dead, do you want to go see her? Lu Chengkong pretended to be mysterious, and sure enough, the two girls heard it, and their sad eyes suddenly seemed to see the light of hope. Just like someone who was in the sea and could be drowned at any time suddenly saw a boat to save him, the four little hands immediately grabbed Lu Chengkong's clothes tightly and looked at Lu Chengkong with longing eyes, hoping that he didn't lie. Own. Don't worry, I have no grievances or enmity with you, why are you lying to you? Lu Chengkong smiled, and suddenly disappeared in place with the sound of his feet turning and turning the spiritual pressure. The hall of the mansion was filled with all kinds of stunning beauties. Are all the women in Lu Chengkong living in the Lu mansion? Even Kurosaki Masaki, a secluded mature and beautiful woman, was there, but looking at her red eyes, she obviously knew that Kurosaki Ichigo was dead. She nearly died trying to save Kurosaki Ichigo. The three children have put a lot of effort into it. As for Kurosaki Issei, let it go. Kurosaki Masaki cut off everything from the past a long time ago. Now she is just Lu Chengkong's wife, an eternal existence, so Lu Chengkong is of course not jealous that Kurosaki Masaki is sad because Kurosaki Ichigo died. After all, although he is an orphan, he also knows that his son and daughter are both a mother's heart. If Kurosaki Masaki knew that her son was dead, Lu Chengkong, who could still laugh and laugh, would not dare to sit too close to her. Xiao Kong is back. Ba Chenliu noticed Lu Chengkong's return for the first time, but when he saw Lu Chengkong holding two loli who were about the same height as him, his eyes suddenly lit up. Obviously she was already in the small head it planned how to play with the two little girls in front of him who looked about the same age as him. After Lu Chengkong, although Ba Chenliu has exactly the same character as the original book, he keeps aloof from any male. Basically he is playing tricks and teasing them for fun. How can he be as careless as the original book, such as sitting with Lu Chengkong appearing on the bald head in the corner of the eyes? Ba Chenliu has never done it. It can be said that except Lu Chengkong, Ba Chenliu never sits or touches any male. Now that Xiaoli and Yuzi have two playmates who can let go of their body and mind, she has no scruples. When she sees Lu Chengkong looking at her, she obviously knows the meaning in Lu Chengkong's eyes. But it's a playmate just for you. Seeing Lu Chengkong's gaze and understanding Lu Chengkong's gaze, Bachenliu's eyes flashed brightly, and he almost clapped his palms without excitement. She laughed. Xiaoli, wandering child. Kurosaki Masaki suddenly saw that Lu Chengkong had brought her 2 daughters, and suddenly remembered that he still had 2 daughters waiting to be taken care of by him, and put away the sadness in his heart. After all, compared to her, I believe that the 2 young girls were even more unhappy, so they trotted over, first glanced at Lu Chengkong with grateful eyes with strange emotions, and then took his 2 from Lu Chengkong's arms. Daughter. The wandering child and Xiaoli, who were still suspicious at first, were suddenly embraced by a very familiar and warm embrace. Seeing the appearance that was so familiar after being separated for so many years, and the motherly voice, Xiaoli and Xiaoli suddenly exclaimed in unison. A mother. But he soon let go of everything. The mother and daughter hugged each other. Lu Chengkong shook his head when he saw the appearance of the 3 daughters, and sent them to his room with a big wave of his hand. Don't get me wrong, just give them a quiet talk to each other in a place where no one is there, while he is holding Bachenliu to tease his own wife and tease his wife. Compared with the mother and daughter of Masaki Kurosaki, who were not in a good mood, Lu Chengkong and her other wives were nothing, and everyone had a faint smile on their faces. After all, Ichigo Kurosaki and Kurosaki were single for them, they are just 2 strangers. If it wasn't for Kurosaki Masaki being Lu Chengkong's wife and a slave girl, they wouldn't know about the existence of these 2 people, but even if they knew it, it was nothing, just like hearing the names of 2 buildings, they immediately forgot when they heard it. Of course they have the slightest feeling. However, after all, they have a very good relationship with Kurosaki Masaki. They have been together for so many years, and they are sisters with good feelings. Therefore, they kept their voices low and tried their best to take care of Kurosaki Masaki's emotions and prevent Kurosaki Masaki from hearing themselves. People's words. At the same time, I was thinking of how to comfort or help Kurosaki Masaki to forget these unhappy things tonight. After all, everyone is very happy now. Sitting together, we can't show a face that is crying and mourning for Kurosaki Masaki, and the sisters. The mutual help between them is not a show, but an actual action. Seeing that my harem is under the care of each other under my own efforts and the strong flowers of the Mau Mau Wa, the 2 women under the care of each other, compared to the simple harmony before, they all have a good relationship with each other and the other few. Now they are as close as sisters to the wives in One Piece, King of Pirates, and they are like a big family. They are no different from real sisters. The cohesion is very strong, and I am both happy and happy. Happy, but also very narcissistic. His vision is really good, and with Ujiwali, he doesn't need to worry about anything, and the development and changes of Matsumoto Ranju are also beyond his expectations. He is even more narcissistic. See how good our vision is, the mother-in-law found as the top. Rukia. Lu Chengkong was chatting with the girls, and the girls were in a good mood, especially Ju Nanbai and Yazumaru Lisa, who were all smiles. Obviously, they were very happy after revenge. Happy and sad. However, Lu Chengkong discovered that one of the heroines of the original novel, Rukia, was hiding behind Feijun, especially when he saw his eyes looking at her. His pretty face blushed. 675 destroyed target, Rukia. Although she was saddened by the friend Kurosaki Ichigo is a good friend to her like a Sanjing Renji. But seeing Lu Chengkong's slightly aggressive gaze, thinking of what Lu Chengkong often does to his elder sister who has the same appearance and stature as his own. Thinking of whether he would do the same to himself as a sister. He suddenly felt sad and forgot for the time being, only shyness remained. At this time, she was really different from the daring, somewhat masculine and more forthright and capable she in the original book. It can be regarded as an unknown side of her hidden in her heart. Her personality, temperament, and behavior are completely at the 2 extremes of her sister Feijun. One is demure and virtuous, gentle as water, the other is active, lively and straightforward, and has the style of a big sister, especially the current Rukia. Under Lu Chengkong's suggestion, Feijun took care of her hairstyle and turned it into the one who was 2 years later in the original book. Kia's hairstyle looks more refreshing, pretty, and even more mature and calm. I'm dying, he's my brother-in-law. how can he look at me like this, and he's still looking at me like this in front of my sister. At this moment, Rukia was like a girl who was pregnant. Her face was slightly red, like anger or joy, and it seemed that people couldn't know what she was thinking, especially when she found out that her sister didn't have any. A little care. It can even be said that this brother-in-law who saves himself is absolutely obedient and very obedient. She absolutely believes that as long as the brother-in-law likes her, although her sister will not force her, she will never be unhappy, and it is even possible to help her brother-in-law to get her from the sidelines. Thinking of this, Rukia found that her heartbeat speed had suddenly increased a lot, the blood flow speed was also accelerating, and her pretty face became more and more rosy and attractive at a speed visible to the naked eye. Didn't I just take a look? Could it be that my eyes are really that aggressive? Lu Chengkong thought depressedly, but completely forgot how his romantic history was formed. Husband, do you want to draw Rukia's attention, so that she and Feijun look exactly the same and have the same height, except for their different temperaments and hairstyles, and put them side by side? Landau suddenly came. Going to Lu Chengkong's side, he covered Lu Chengkong's ears with his soft and moist sexy lips, seducing Lu Chengkong like a devil. Your husband, am I such a person? Lu Chengkong's righteousness and awe-inspiring look definitely not taking advantage of others' danger, and immediately amused Hu Qiangyan on the side. He couldn't help but burst out laughing, but found that everyone's eyes were watching to himself immediately put away the smile. But looking at her blushing face, she obviously endured very hard. It seems that she has been helping Lu Chengkong for a while and has completely understood Lu Chengkong's romantic history. One sentence can sum up Lu Chengkong. Being his woman is very happy. She will never be abandoned. She will never be abandoned. She will never like the new and hate the old. Before this man dies, he will not let anyone hurt his wife, even if he dies. There are also arrangements not to let anyone hurt their wife. It is also very lucky to be his friend. He is not the kind of person who says that he will stab you in the back. On the contrary, he is very pragmatic and can even be said to be very direct. If he can do it, he will definitely do his best. Do it, and don't say some superfluous scenes or touching words. But Hu Qiangyan still knew that Ping Zishenzi and the others said that getting to know Lu Chengkong is their greatest luck, and it is also the most fortunate thing, because they are friends, not Lu Chengkong's enemies. To be Lu Chengkong's enemies, look, the end of Eisen is known, and it has never been a good end. Is it that funny? Yangyan, do you doubt my character? Lu Chengkong pretended to be very angry, and Hu Qiangyan jumped. But after all, she has lived with Lu Chengkong for a few days, and she still knows Lu Chengkong very well. Sure enough, Hu Qiangyan secretly observed Lu Chengkong's eyes and found that there was no anger at all other than joking. Just going to play with her. I'm so mad at me, I'm not a gentleman, and you actually play with me. Hu Qiangyan suddenly became angry after thinking about it, but he didn't show it. Just kidding, this man not only has the power of life and death in the soul world, and also the husband of the most respected Maojawali. Do you want to talk back to him? Not to mention these, just the achievements Lu Chengkong has made since he appeared to the present, and his approachability without the slightest pretense, his character, etc., are all admired by Hu Qiangyan, who knew Lu Chengkong at the True Central Academy of Spiritual Arts. She admired Lu Chengkong very much, and even took Lu Chengkong as her goal to become a god of death and became stronger. In addition, it was not her character to argue with Lu Chengkong directly. Toru Yuyan's usual character is just like Ai's Naneo when he was a child, a little timid and introverted. Of course, this is only in normal times, once she enters the battle. In addition to the firmness of the eyes, there are no other unnecessary mood swings. Husband, stop talking about it. Do you want me to help you? Landau saw that the topic was pulled away, and he didn't care at all, while Rukia became more and more red and was not afraid that she would become angry again. Lu Chengkong carried out a series of bewitching joke. Your husband is the #1 on the handsome guy list no matter what. Even if his appearance is not an extremely handsome guy, at least it won't affect the public's attention, and he is worthy of the audience. Where do we need your help? At this moment, Lu Chengkong seemed to be masculine, and he brushed it on the night of the Saifeng courtyard. Hallabal, Zibo Kong and other girls jumped for joy, watching Lu Chengkong transform into a big bad wolf step by step with a playful look. He walked towards Rukia, and Rukia seemed to have guessed what was going to happen next, and immediately backed away like a frightened little white rabbit. At the same time, he set his eyes on Haijin for help, but Haijin, who has never refused to go to Rukia since he met Rukia, seems to have seen nothing this time. I don't know anything, I don't see anything, I bow my head and concentrate on making tea, and even the last dependent sister, betrayed, her Rukia. Lukia, elder sister is also for your good, maybe you can deceive other people, but you can't deceive me. Although you don't admit it on the surface, I know that you have always admired Lord Chengkong very much. When you are in constant contact with life together in the back, you have long since unconsciously changed from pure admiration to admiration and admiration, but your inferiority complex thinks that your body, appearance and temperament are not comparable to any of Lord Chengkong. A wife who feels that she is not worthy of Master Chengkong, that's fine, let's grow up under pressure. Fei really thought to herself, her eyes filled with love when she looked at Rukia. 675-676 Eat Rukia. Obviously, she didn't really care about Rukia, but she knew exactly what Rukia was thinking and what she needed. She actually told Lu Chengkong about Rukia as early as last night. I hope Lu Chengkong can take the initiative to let Rukia not look down on herself, let her know that her own charm is not small, and she can also attract adults Chengkong. Of course, Lu Chengkong is happy to do it, so there is the current scene. If Rukia knew that the scene in front of her was created by her sister, she really didn't know whether to cry or laugh, to be happy or to be sad, but no matter what, Rukia can't leave now, because Rukia kept retreating and now she has retreated to the corner of the wall, and there is no way to retreat. At the same time, when she was about to use Shunpo to escape, Lu Chengkong had already picked her up with one hand and held her in his arms, and the strong masculine breath came out, making Rukia, who was hugged by Lu Chengkong for the first time, only feel Feng's heart skipped a beat, blushing and panting. Rukia, you can't escape. Lu Chengkong bit Rukia's earlobe lightly, causing Rukia to shake, and an electric current flowed from the earlobe all over her body, causing her to moan uncontrollably. Pretty face turned red. Especially when I noticed that Yi Yi of Saifengyuan, Hallabal, Nelialu, Bachinliu and other women all used jokes, and looking at her with mocking eyes made her, who was already weak, fall to the ground. In Lu Chengkong's arms, I don't know if I really have no strength to get up again, or if I don't want to get up anymore. Look, I said that Rukia is absolutely impossible to escape, you still don't believe it. Ais Naneo said as if I had known Lu Chengkong for a long time, but she forgot that she was the most important person. It's shameful, if others are dedicated or you are willing, the worst thing is to be forced by Lu Chengkong. But she, Ais Naneo, was an accessory that Jininbai brought with him when he dedicated himself, but as soon as these words came out, Ais Naneo remembered what happened to him before, and immediately blushed, as if he was a thief with a guilty conscience. Take a look. After finding that except Ju Nanbai looking at him with strange eyes, everyone else was paying attention to Rukia and no one was paying attention to him. It was this little girl who was deceived by her pitiful appearance. She persuaded her kindly, but she was brought along by the big pervert Lu Chengkong. Hi, but of course she wouldn't say that. However, it was Ju Nanbai who made Ju Nanbai vomit blood from anger, but she gave her an innocent look, as if she had really done nothing and blamed her wrongly, especially her appearance, eyes, and temperament were pure and simple. Incomparably pure, comparable to that of Nellie L. However, Nellie Lu is true, and so is Ju Nanbai, but she really likes to make fun of and tease people, and then she sells her Ais Naneo just like this. She even helped her count the money. At this moment, Jininbai has completely understood why Jininbai and Ais Naneo came to Lu Chengkong to settle down in the current world after they left the world. Tears were left behind. It turns out that Ju Nanbai's power is so great that killing people is not worth their lives. No wonder when she was the deputy captain of Liuch Quanxi, the squad of Liuch Quanxi often reported that the captain of Liuch Quanxi would often go to the fourth quarter the squad lived in. It turned out to be so angry that he fell ill many times. But at this time, the eyes of Nanao and Ju Nanbai exchanged, and the heart changed. At this time, Lu Chengkong had already kissed Rukia's small mouth, looking at Rukia's inexperience, but he wanted to stop himself. But in the end, due to Lu Chengkong's superb technology, it became as if Rukia was not blocking, but rather welcoming. And with the two people kissing, Rukia seemed to have forgotten her original intention at the beginning, and began to take the initiative to fight back, mastering it. With a little bit of technique, she even took the initiative to entangle her little sweet tongue with Lu Chengkong, as if she was completely intoxicated by the kiss. It's so comfortable. No wonder elder sister likes Lord Chengkong to kiss her so much. Oh, it's going to die. What are you thinking about, Rukia? It's so embarrassing. Rukia thought so at first, but then she couldn't help but spat at herself secretly, scolding herself for being shameless, and kissing her brother-in-law in front of her sister didn't feel any sadness and anger of being forced to kiss, but she actually felt ashamed in her heart. There is joy in shyness. Although my sister doesn't care, it can't be like this. It's just that what Rukia didn't know was that her sister didn't mind. This was all made by her sister. Not only was she not unhappy, she was even very happy because she saw the development of things. Just as she thought, Rukia's appearance had already told everyone that she really admired Lu Chengkong. Soon, Rukia secretly made a gesture to Feijun, who nodded imperceptibly. Lu Chengkong was overjoyed, hugging Rukia and disappeared in a flash, leaving only the chattering crowd. Female, but what Lu Chengkong didn't know was that Halibal suddenly showed a sly smile when she left. You must know that Halibal rarely smiles, and the smile that suddenly leaks out now is really suffocating, especially when it has completely become like a god of death, a human being without any false features, which makes Halibal even more suffocating. Beauty at its peak. What are you laughing at, Halibal? As good sisters, Nellie L., who has lived together for so long, immediately found that she rarely showed such a beautiful smile and usually only spent time alone with Lu Chengkong, or there were not many nearby with only Nellie L. Halibal, who only laughed lightly under Lu Chengkong's provocation, actually laughed today, which made Nellie Lu interested and moved her head to ask. Harabelle didn't hide it either. She whispered in Nellie L's ear, and the latter blushed, especially after Harabelle finished speaking and joked to herself that it seemed like you were the only ones left. Husband is in a relationship, do you want to be the last one, Nellie L? Or even the brave female knight Nellie L was afraid, which made Nellie L's eyes flash with a hint of shyness and desire at the same time. Don't be so hard. It's the first time for me. When she came to Lu Chengkong's room, looked at the huge bed, and watched Lu Chengkong press down on her, Rukia only had time to say a word. He felt a sharp tearing pain coming from his lower body, and he couldn't help screaming in pain. I don't know if I was happy that I had finally become a woman or that I was happy that I had finally achieved the desire in my heart. Tears overflowed from Rukia's eyes, but I saw the joy in her eyes and the pain she carried in her eyes. She was so happy that she knew that although her body was in pain, she was very happy in her heart. 676-677 The plans of Halibal's officials. Just that Lu Chengkong and Rukia, who were in the midst of turbulence, may not have noticed that the unclosed door quietly opened a slit, and 3 pairs of curious, shy but longing eyes suddenly appeared from the crevice, staring straight at the 2 people who were constantly rolling on the waves and entangled. Apache, do you think it's okay for us to be like this? Muraros, who has always been arguing with Apache, didn't ask the grandson next to him, but asked Apache this time. Deed, it can be seen that although they do not bite the strings, they have a really good relationship with each other. After all, they are sisters in distress who have lived together through adversity and wealth. They usually don't deal with each other, and bickering can also be said to cultivate it's just a way of feeling. Malaros, how dare you doubt the judgment of Lord Harabelle? Lord Harabelle has said that it might not work in normal times, but after he and Rukia are done, we can definitely go if we go again. It's not that I don't know how amazing his combat power is on the bed, it's strange that Rukia can satisfy him. If I go there at that time, it will definitely be successful. Sun glared at Mira Ross, and cursed with a small chest and a small mouth. The above said so. How can she doubt Lord Hannibal? Che, she said that she is so brave. Why didn't you go in first? You are only in bed, in front of us. You dare to be a nympho. I don't know who was having a sex dream last night. Shouting that Lord Chengkong is coming soon, it's almost. Woohoo. This time, Apache was also beyond Sun's expectations. He didn't follow the sarcasm and worry about Mira Rhodes. Instead, he aimed the gun at himself for a while, and Sun, who was seeing through his mind, was immediately annoyed and angry. Che, what's so great? What's there to be afraid of? Just go. It's just a pain at the beginning and you'll feel better after a while. Speaking of which, their 3 daughters are also good enough. When they needed help the most, Hannibal rescued them all day long, so they made a vow to follow Hannibal for the rest of their lives, including of course that if Hannibal would follow her in the future. Whoever they pledge allegiance to, whoever they will pledge allegiance to, or whoever they will marry, will also marry whomever they will. Ever since Hannibal and Lu Chengkong had a relationship, Hannibal, who had never shown a smile or even never really smiled, actually showed a happy and warm smile like a little daughter, a phenomenon that was immediately applauded by the 3 of them. It was captured that they were very curious about Lu Chengkong, the god of death who was so powerful that he could completely capture his own adults and make Hannibal smile so happily. As the saying goes, most of men and women start with curiosity, especially women. Once a woman becomes curious about a man, it doesn't matter if she doesn't have a good impression. As long as she becomes curious, it's basically half the battle. In other words, the possibility of this pair of men and women walking together is at least half possible. And now the 3 daughters of Sun, Apache, and Mira Rhodes are like this. They really want to see what Lu Chengkong did to make Hannibal smile so softly, so warmly, and so happily. They also want to see it. Let Hannibal smile a little more. Therefore, they began to pay attention to Lu Chengkong secretly, and even began to take the initiative to contact Lu Chengkong. Even later, the sturdy Road and Liza Yahomaru peeped at the love of the clouds and rain between Hannibal and Lu Chengkong. The solution, their curiosity not only not relieved, satisfied, but increased day by day. It may have been with them when they were young. If Hannibal hadn't rescued them, they might have been swallowed up, so even if they secretly swore that in the future, if Hannibal got married, they would follow, even if that person hated them. This is so, but Hannibal said what you liked to do it. With Hannibal to stop them, the 3 girls did not devote themselves with Hannibal, otherwise they would have waited until now. Deliberately pursuing their own happiness and looking for someone they like is of course very happy, but because of their childhood experiences, the first requirement of their object is to be strong. Obviously, they have lived in an imaginary circle from childhood to adulthood. Death made them tough on the surface, but in fact they were very insecure in their hearts. Of course, I hope that my other half can protect me. Is Lu Chengkong strong? Very powerful. At least the 3 of them have never seen anyone stronger than Lu Chengkong, and the speed at which Lu Chengkong's strength has soared really stunned them. The second is to pay attention to feelings and never abandon your other half because of interests. Never abandon the new and dislike the old. Although Lu Chengkong is distracted, after so many years of observation, they found that they had never seen that man compare to Lu Chengkong loves and takes care of his wife more. Although there are more and more wives, the harem is getting bigger and bigger, but he has never been in chaos, and has always guarded his wives and even tried his best to make his wives stronger, as long as they don't offend Lu Chengkong's heart. The bottom line, it can be said that for their wives, they are responsive to their needs, which is also in line. In addition, because of Hannibal, they were aroused curiosity. With the constant contact, they peeked at Hannibal and Lu Chengkong's living erotic palace every night. Even the sturdy Mira Rose had to admit that Lu Chengkong the bed fights are too good. Mira Rhodes even stubbornly left a sentence that if I faced him alone, I would definitely be killed. As soon as this sentence came out, Sun and Apache immediately nodded in response, and yesterday Halibal knowing Feijun and Lu Chengkong's plans today, so he asked his 3 officials who had feelings for Lu Chengkong to follow Rukia, and when Rukia couldn't take it, they would go up, then 99% of the time. Own purpose. Just when Sun Sun was going to walk in, Mira Rhodes suddenly grabbed Sun Sun. Under the strange eyes of Sun Sun and Apache, Mira Rhodes rarely showed a hint of shyness, which was very different from her usual shyness. The demeanor of an Amazonian female warrior is different. Now, if she pays attention, she can still see a blush on Mira Rose's pretty face. I'll do it first, you guys are not as strong as me. After Miraros finished speaking, ignoring the strange eyes of the 2, he walked in directly at gate of opening, and the 2 women behind him were sluggish for a while and hurried in. I thought you didn't dare to come in. Lu Chengkong was lying on the bed and looked at the 3 girls who came in with great interest. The eyes that seemed to penetrate people's hearts made the 3 girls feel a little embarrassed, even if it was Emila Raz is no longer as bold as before. 677, 678 Overthrowing Haribel's official. The 3 daughters of Sun Sun, Apache, and Mira Rose exchanged glances, and they all saw a hint of embarrassment in each other's eyes. Obviously, they didn't expect that their little thoughts would be noticed by Lu Chengkong early in the morning. Only when Zibo Kong said such a shy thing for the first time would he be without a trace of shyness. After all, there is only one tyrant of Zibo Kong, and even the 3 of them are the most outspoken, and candid Mira Rhodes can't reach Zibo. The realm of empty cranes. What is there to dare? We are different from the gods of death. We have been living at the bottom of the virtual circle since we were young. We only need to decide what we want, and we will do everything we can to do it. We don't have the so-called restraint. Quote. Mira Rhodes quickly regained her composure. She really deserves to be an Amazonian female warrior. She has a sturdy personality, but Lu Chengkong obviously likes Mira Rhodes very much. It can be said that Lu Chengkong likes it the most among the 3 girls. The only thing is the tallest, plumpest and most decisive, refreshing Mira Rhodes. In Lu Chengkong's words, such a girl is strong enough. I don't need your restraint either, as long as I need your heart, I can only live on my own. Chengkong chuckled, not caring about his body at all, walked over and hugged Mira Rhodes in his arms, not to mention how tall this girl is, but only in the case of Hikun Kiryu and Toru Yuyan. Next, with her height of 1.77 meters and her pair of plump breasts reaching the sky, some men with almost self-confidence and capital feel inferior even just standing in front of her. Of course, we are different from those women in reality. Don't confuse us with them. Once we women fall in love with someone, they are more thorough than many lovers of death, even if they are dead and then resurrected. No matter how much you die, it will never change, it will always be you. With Mira Ross taking the lead, Apache, who didn't want to be compared, immediately followed. Now that they have reached this point, the words in their hearts are directly clear. Of course, there is no room for turning back, and neither of them wants to turn back. Breathing in the air, the ambiguous atmosphere and Lu Chengkong are standing in front of them, then the majestic dragon pointed at them. It made the eyes of the 3 girls show a trace of confusion and spring. Soon Lu Chengkong took the lead in choosing his favorite Mira Rhodes among the 3 girls. This girl was the most energetic among the 3 girls, and she was also the most likely to provoke a man's desire to conquer. Of course, Lu Chengkong was no exception. A moment later, Mira Ross had hugged Lu Chengkong all over his body, and rolled over on the bed. His most beautiful plumpness was already on Lu Chengkong's chest. Let Lu Chengkong feel how rich and attractive his capital is, and at the same time, he has never seen his whole body, and only leaves all the beautiful things that can only be seen by the person he loves the most, Lu Chengkong. Unreservedly let go to Lu Chengkong to explore and rub. As Mira Rhodes tightened his body, his hands and feet were wrapped around Lu Chengkong's body like octopuses, his neck was raised like a swan, and the corners of his mouth made a satisfying, painful but full of pain, and just calmed down. The cloud and rain started again. With Mira Rhodes taking the lead, after Mira Rhodes fell asleep with a satisfied, pain-like expression, Lu Chengkong's room soon heard 2 more women's painful cries, but it was very difficult. It didn't take long for the exclamation of pain to pass, and there was a moan that made people want to blood boil and want to die. This afternoon, Lu Chengkong rolled and worked hard on the 4 daughters of Rukia, Apache, Sun, and Mira Rhodes, until the 4 daughters were even equals unable to bear it and finally ended up in Apache's little mouth after the launch. He slept on the big bed with the 4 daughters in his arms. It wasn't until the next morning that Lu Chengkong woke up like a dream and walked out of the pile of powdered legs, fat and creamy powder, but no matter how romantic Lu Chengkong was, he woke up full of energy. Lu Chengkong has always been like this. Not only did he not show excessive indulgence, but instead became more energetic and sharper every day. Sophie, you said before that when I reach the level of godmother, I should be able to break the seal of the ring. Why do I find that it doesn't seem to work? Lu Chengkong thought about it, and it didn't take long for Sophie to appear in front of Lu Chengkong. Asked immediately. What I said is that this power may be opened, but I didn't say that it will be possible. It's not that you don't know that the power system in the world of One Piece, King of Pirates, is many levels lower than the power system in the world of Death, and I'm just making a rough estimate. But not too far in my estimation. Your current Wangshu's primary strength should be able to shake the seal. If you do your best, you should be able to, but the chance of breaking the seal is lower. However, I advise you to be mentally prepared, because this space ring is a different time and space item for the world of death. It is different from us, the living beings, who have survived the test this world has given us and become one of the world. That's why this ring was sealed. If you break the seal on the ring once, it's fine. Otherwise, if you fail once, even if you almost break it, the ring will be restored to its original state. The sealing power will be greater than before. Sophie frowned her beautiful eyebrows. Her clear eyes stared at the ring on Lu Chengkong's finger for a while before speaking. Forget it. If that's the case, then I'll give you back your freedom first. Lu Chengkong didn't get discouraged. Instead he burned with a vigorous fighting spirit. When he came to the world of the god of death, he was not as good as the most trashy god of death, but now he has not become the god of death again. The existence of disdain for the heroes has come to this step. Are you afraid that it will not be able to open? Since there is no way to solve the matter of the ring, now is the time to solve the problem of himself and Sophie. He is still very much in his heart for this beautiful woman who has been trapped in him since he came to this world, even if he can come out now. Feeling guilty, Lu Chengkong knew that he could survive so many crises so quickly to get to where he is now, and Sophie's help played a big role. He never thought to control Sophie or restrain Sophie by keeping it like this forever. After all, he thinks he is not a good person, but he is not a white-eyed wolf either. The kind of soul integration between them, of course, immediately gave Sophie complete freedom. Sophie did not speak, but suddenly looked at Lu Chengkong with a strange look that she had never seen before, as if what Lu Chengkong had just said exceeded her expectations, making her unable to believe it. 678-679 Free Sophie. You are beyond my expectations. I thought you would not pretend to be stupid after you have this strength, so that we can continue to maintain this connection. I become stronger, you will also become stronger, you become stronger. I will also become stronger at the same time, so that you can become stronger and break the ring faster. Quote. Sophie stared at Lu Chengkong with piercing eyes. Although the relationship between her and Lu Chengkong was equal, after all, they were both prosperous and detrimental, but Lu Chengkong had the upper hand. After all, her status is now. It was Zanpakuto. If Lu Chengkong, the god of death, did not take the initiative to cut off the relationship between the two and separate the souls of the two, Sophie would have no way to do this. Che, don't think of me so great. I'm just a real villain, or a really villain who just wants to live a happy and comfortable life, but to be honest, you and I don't have much friendship at all, it's just that we only got to know each other because of Angelina. Speaking of it, I was implicated by me to come here and finally became like this. No matter what, I still understand the truth, and over the years you can completely ignore me without asking, but you have helped me many times. I still can't do it if I want to repay my kindness and revenge. Maybe I really don't fit to be a heinous villain. Lu Chengkong smiled bitterly. Although doing so would not have any effect on Lu Chengkong's strength, even because of Sophie's departure, he devoured the power of Zanpakuto that belonged to him like Zanpakuto, and Zanpakuto became himself. Part of it, truly returning to its own soul. If his right and left hands are average, he will only become stronger, but in the long run, if this connection is not resolved, as long as Sophie's strength becomes stronger, he will be promoted for free without any side effects, and the foundation is unstable. The harvest of cultivating together is not divided equally, but from 1 to 2. This is considered to be coming to this world, and the law of the world has forced Lu Chengkong to become such an alternative compensation. Now that Lu Chengkong has cut off the relationship, there will be no more. In this way, it can be regarded as killing the chicken and taking the egg, but Lu Chengkong really did not have it. A little sad and regretful, or reluctant to give up, but I feel that the whole person feels very relaxed after making this decision after saying these words. You don't have to do this, I'll help you instead of helping myself, so don't misunderstand. Sophie said lightly, taking her eyes back. You don't have to lie to me, this kind of unscrupulous help may be the same for me once or twice at the beginning. You helped me like this to get out of trouble as soon as possible, but after a long time, if I still can't distinguish you if it's to help me, then I'm really an idiot, forget it, it's unnecessary to discuss this. Sophie, get ready. Lu Chengkong Isho, I didn't expect Sophie Marceau to be so strong in this regard. She was still stubborn when she said it herself, but this may be her nature and charm. She never thought that she was a daughter than a man poor. On the contrary, since she was wise, she never thought that men and women were different, and she even thought that she could do things that all men couldn't. Look down on yourself. I believe that it is with the idea and character that she can do what others can do, or even do it better, and what others can't do, she can easily do by herself, so that she can make her no matter what world or what kind of world she is in. Everywhere, at any time, it is the arrogant man Sophie Marceau who has made countless achievements and shamed her. Sophie Marceau said nothing, closed her eyes and concentrated, as did Lu Chengkong. The figures of the two slowly lifted into the air, and an invisible aura was released between the two of them, attracting the nearby death god all at once. The eyes of Wallai and the other women immediately protected Lu Chengkong and Sophie Marceau. Obviously Lu Chengkong had already told them about his and Sophie's background, the secrets that do not belong to this world, and the connection between the two of them, otherwise they would not have known what the two of them were doing in the first place. Acts of protection. What is this guy doing? With him in the soul world, I really can't calm down. When can he stop for a while? This old man will retire early sooner or later. The old man Yamamoto also quickly discovered Lu Chengkong and Sophie who had risen in the air. The old man Yamamoto, who thought something was going on, immediately turned his crutches into flames. Obviously, he saw Kurosaki Ichigo being killed silently. After that, vigilance reached a peak. He didn't want to report the footsteps of Kurosaki Ichigo and his two fathers and sons because of an accident. Who knows if the perverts of Lingwang's Zero Division will hit him with this old bone idea, especially when he saw Aizen after the Battle of Aizen. With a broken face that specializes in restraining himself, who knows if other people have such abilities. Therefore, he concentrated his mind and did not give any opportunity to any enemy who wanted to attack his own ideas, but he secretly prepared 3 songs. If someone comes to assassinate him, or to assassinate himself, his first move is to be like fire, and at the same time, he will make up for a kendo and add a ghost of number 90 or more, so it is foolproof. If you can't resist it, if you live with enemies who may be able to deal with you, then you will prove that the gap between yourself and them is too great, and you can't blame others if you die. The old man Yamamoto is not the only one who thinks this way. Since there is even a shattered face that can be created against the ability of Ryu and Ruahuo to resist him, who knows if anyone can make a shattered face or tool that is similar to his own Zanpakuto. Or life forms to deal with themselves, so Hiroko Meiko and others also made several preparations like old man Yamamoto. Indifferent to these so-called transforming broken faces, or transforming and transforming existences such as the god of death, such as the prince of extinguishing Wanda Wise, he concealed the old man Yamamoto. But if the strength of the old man Yamamoto is stronger, the power of the blade is a little stronger, and it exceeds the limit that Wandawise can seal, then it will burst Wandawise all of a sudden. Everything has positive and negative sides, just it depends on how to use it. If you use it properly, even a weak point can become a strong point. Who is that woman? This kid is so romantic, and he has more and more wives around him. Why is his family so harmonious? I think when the old man was young, it was not because the two women were arguing. Hey, it's a pity that I am old now. If he had been born 1,000 years earlier, I would definitely ask Lu Chengkong to learn from him. When the old man Yamamoto saw Sophie Marceau, he immediately thought that this was Lu Chengkong's new love. If the thoughts in his heart were known, he would definitely be speechless. Is this still the old man Yamamoto? There is such an idea. 679, 680 Undead Disaster. Not to mention the thoughts of old man Yamamoto and others. At this time, Lu Chengkong and Sophie Marceau, who were standing above the emptiness of Saraiti, became stronger and stronger, and their auras became stronger and stronger. The confrontation, the incompatibility between water and fire gradually turned into a yin and yang compatibility as if they had found a trick. An invisible momentum accompanied by the overwhelming terrifying spiritual pressure suddenly burst out from the body of the two of them, and then the two spiritual pressures slowly merged together. With the appearance of this terrifying spiritual pressure, the spiritual pressure was covered. There were circles of air waves visible to the naked eye, and the space near the two of them was a little bit distorted. Just by releasing the spiritual pressure, it was too scary to distort the space near the two of them. What are they doing? Fortunately, Hiroko Mako and others knew that Lu Chengkong's outburst of spiritual pressure would be absolutely terrible, so they stood far away, so they were not oppressed or affected by the spiritual pressure. Otherwise, if it was just being affected, they would be crushed to the ground. Strange, I actually felt Lu Chengkong's aura on that woman. No, it should be said that the two of them have exactly the same aura. The well-informed old man Yamamoto narrowed his eyes and said after a while. What do you mean? Urahara Kazuki was stunned for a moment, then quickly recovered. He looked at Lu Chengkong and Sophie Marceau with horrified eyes. The old man Yamamoto's words couldn't be simpler, and the same breath was not so simple. Of course it's Zanpakuto and Shinigami, so doesn't that mean that woman is Lu Chengkong's Zanpakuto? Strangely, if the Zanpakuto is materialized, no one except the owner can see it. Unless the Zanpakuto is used, or Hikari uses the power of Muramasa, the Zanpakuto's owner will see the Zanpakuto after the materialization. Pakuto. What makes this old man strange is that you can feel their strength. The old man Yamamoto's face was extremely heavy. This was the first time he had seen this kind of imagination. Since Lu Chengkong and Sophie Marceau did not hide their strengths at this time, the pressure continued to climb, as if the bottomless cave had a limit, so the old man Yamamoto and others could detect the strength of Lu Chengkong and Sophie Marceau. It's a lie. Liu Quanxi shouted in a conditioned reflex. It was too unbelievable. The strength of that Zanpakuto Sophie Marceau was exactly the same as Lu Chengkong. Yes, exactly the same. Shou is a bit stronger, but not a bit weaker. My god, does Zanpakuto have such a powerful strength? It shouldn't be. He really hides a lot of secrets, including his life experience. The old man Yamamoto shook his head. Obviously he didn't believe it, but it was the truth. His Zanpakuto can fight on their own. Doesn't it mean that Lu Chengkong's strength is equal to the existence of two Wangshu levels? What are they doing? Kuchiki Shanghai looked at the two of them puzzled. After thinking about it for a long time, he still couldn't understand. It was the first time they had seen this phenomenon. The spiritual pressure on the two of them blended together, and there was obviously no idea of fighting each other. I see, haha, so that's the case. Zakagi Kenpachi suddenly had a flash in his brain, as if thinking of something. He laughed out loud, and suddenly attracted the attention of the nearby death god. They have to separate and become independent individuals. Zanpakuto is worthy of his Zanpakuto. He devoured his own Zanpakuto and let Zanpakuto completely return to his soul. All the abilities of Zanpakuto being obtained by him is like an innate ability. It can be said that as long as the stronger Zakagi Kenpachi is, the stronger the ability he has nothing to do with Zanpakuto. How is that possible? Urahara Kazuki immediately shook his head, indicating that it was impossible, but soon his eyes widened, because Lu Chengkong and Sophie Marceau above the void opened their eyes at the same time. Disintegration. Divine wind moves, heaven and earth change, 10 directions kill, mysterious wind appears. The two said in unison, they actually use the same disintegration. Raising the strength of the two to the limit, the fusion of the two spiritual pressures suddenly caused the earth to vibrate, the sky trembled, and thunderous rumblings continued to sound. Ah! Hirako Mako and the others who were standing far enough away were not affected, but after the two suddenly collapsed, their strength was terrifying, and the range of spiritual pressure radiation increased dozens of times. Before the old man Yamamoto and the others could react, they felt that their whole body, including their soul, had suddenly become countless times heavier. They couldn't move, and the blood was constantly overflowing from their bodies. They stood so far away, only to be affected, and not all of them were seriously injured. If this goes on, they will die at any time. It's really scary. They are all like this, let alone the gods of death in Seirenge. Fortunately, with a gentle wave of Unohana Ryu's hand, a layer of invisible barrier blocks this spirit. Otherwise all the gods of death in Seirenge below without exception, it will be pressed into powder. Let's end it quickly, otherwise it won't take long for us to die in battle, but to be crushed to death by your spiritual pressure. Hirako Mako burst into tears, knowing that he would go directly to the world and watch what the fun was, and suffered an unwarranted disaster. Yes, but it's too late to say anything now, no matter how painful it is, I can only withstand it. Come on, Emperor Qilin. Both Lu Chengkong were already intoxicated in their world at this time, completely forgetting that Xiao Lingting had become a mess because of the spiritual pressure released by the two of them. I'm done, is there anyone here to help me? The handsome Hirako Mako is going to suffer a disaster. Hirako Mako didn't want to die. Although people are not as humiliating as Hirako Mako directly shouting, but from their appearance, it is obvious that they have the same thoughts as Hirako Mako, and they don't want to suffer unwarranted disasters. However, the expected pain and pressure did not come, so I couldn't help but stand up and looked up and found that it was Mao Zhawali who released his spiritual pressure and resisted it, which affected all the death gods, but seeing Mao Zhawali's appearance was obviously that she did this for Lu Chengkong's wife and her sisters. As for the other gods of death, Xiao Lingting and the like are just incidental. You can think that if Lu Chengkong's wives are not there, she will no longer be the captain of the 4th Division, and she will no longer be the captain of the 4th Division who saves and heals the wounded. They don't care about these gossips at all. Mao Zhawali is just like this, and he seeks his government in his position.